Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dan around Yaks Ben, and we have a fantastic show for you. Episode 6 concludes Living Story Season 3. The ban hammer comes down in PvP. Expansion announcement hype next week, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion. He will help us talk about this I don't know what else. Anyway, he will help us talk about this update we have been so long waiting for. And if we are just passengers on the lore-fueled hype train, say hello to Jim.
Hi, everybody. Something, something Ryan Reynolds, something, something Chris Pratt. Go.
Basically. You figured it out. And he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. With the PvP issues, do you think they use the new hammer to deal with them? Say hello to Age.
I hope it's the nighttime version. Scare the crap out of them. But yeah. Maybe. What's up, guys?
And you can see his stuff over on Twitch and YouTube at MMO Inks. Is this update truly picture perfect? He is our Canadian bacon of Guild Wars 2. Say hello to Inks.
Been having a lot of fun with thumbnails lately.
They are pretty top quality. Oh.
Oh boy.
But let us jump right into it. So we are going to keep spoilers till like the end of the show. Like we'll do the gem store and all that stuff, and then we'll kind of give like a quick warning just so people are aware. We're going to go through all this stuff like the news without spoilers as best as possible, even if it feels short, because when we get to like, you know, the patch, a lot of it was story based. So, but hang in there. But first up, if you've been checking on Twitter or the blog posts, they have said that there is an expansion announcement August 1st. So they already have an expansion site up, which is guildwars2.com/expansion. That's, yeah, just
expansion.
Yep. Just expansion, yeah.
So it's going to be short. Oh, chat, you're killing me. But yeah, you can tune in August 1st at 9 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook for the announcement of the second expansion. 1 hour pre-show with OM Glitzy and a 30-minute announcement segment. Then Wooden Potatoes for after show. So, I mean, what are you guys expecting from the guild, like from ArenaNet for the expansion announcement?
Short, sweet, to the point, pretty much.
Well, they only have it set up for a half hour, so.
I feel like it's going to be. I wish I went back and timed the Heart of Thorns announcement, but I think it's going to be pretty much just like that with less pre-show stuff from, like they had Jennifer Hale last time. I think it's just going to be Mo or whoever comes out, tells you what the expansion is going to be called, and then gives you a lot of highlight points of like what's going to be in the expansion, you know, like the features and stuff like that.
If we're gonna go feature matching with Heart of Thorns, we've got new traversal mechanic, so gliding, new maps, new masteries. They'll probably go over the new elite specs and probably the area that we're gonna be in. So
guild halls, perhaps.
New guild halls, baby. And then, you know, this is how you can switch your guild hall, and maybe they'll do that.
And kind of like what Inks
probably show off new assets or whatever, like.
And kind of like Inks is saying and like chat saying, it seems like it's more low key. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be at a convention, so that's probably why it might not be an hour. And I think it's going to be the half hour just because, like Inks said, it's probably going to have less theatrics. It's going to hopefully, like he said, probably just have certain people come on, probably Mo and possibly a couple others to describe what's going to be in the story.
Probably Mike Z, because Mo talked about him, he is the expansion lead. So I imagine he'll be there with Mo. Like him and Mo will be like, you know, the two people probably. The other thing is Wooden Potatoes after show, which is probably going to be an hour at least. He mentioned in the video that he made that he has additional things to talk about that probably won't be covered during the announcement itself. So I don't know whether he has additional footage or maybe just additional information to share with the community. So that might be something worth tuning in for, or watching a VOD or something later if you can't catch it live.
Oh, cool. Other than that, I mean, any other crazy things you guys want to see them announce in the expansion, like price point, date, hopefully?
Yeah.
Price and date, yeah.
I think they might actually open pre-orders on Tuesday. I wouldn't put it past them.
Normally I think that they would forego something like that, but they had an AMA, not the latest AMA, but the one before that for Flashpoint. Mo had talked about how they were going to release One Path Ends, although we didn't know the name at the time, and that would be 2 to 3 months away. And then the expansion would be slightly longer away than a story release. So more than 2 to 3 months. So 4 to 6 months or 4 to 5 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they'll announce that. And because it's such a shorter amount of time, they may do pre-orders right away. Let you know what you can get and what you can pre-order and stuff. And yeah.
Also, give me build templates. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be one of the big features. Hopefully.
I-
Kind of what Illuminati's saying is, can we basically get unique looking skins that aren't legendary or claim tickets? They'd prefer to play the game instead of the gem store.
Now, the one thing that I will say is we do get a lot of armor stuff through the living story updates. Like when I got you get a 5 or 6 new skins plus back pieces and stuff you can get from vendors. I will agree though that we need more weapons. Like we really need more weapons that aren't gem store or Black Lion ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So that and what we've got. Heart of Thorns introduced like a ton that would come out of champ loot bags, like the ones that are made out of jade. I remember people going nuts over those. And then some of the other ones that were super rare out of specific boss chests. But I feel like they need to have more sets of weapons in the game that are available, because Heart of Thorns, I don't think, introduced Chalk, the Exalted, the Reclaimed weapons from Verdant Brink, and I think that was it.
Yeah, I feel like there were 4 or 5 weapon sets, and I think there were only like 4 armor sets, minus the Rev one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that with an expansion, you always get a couple of armor sets. You get some weapons and stuff. So that'll definitely be part of the expansion. I wish for Living Story, and this is sort of a separate topic because this won't come out until after. I wish for Living Story that the armor pieces that you got completed a set of armor by the end of the season. Like a universal unifying thing, instead of here's a glove piece, here's a glove piece, here's a shoulder, here's some boots, here's a glove piece, here's a head piece, here's a, they always avoid chest and legs basically because I think they're the hardest to do. But it would be great if that was like an overall goal for Living Story for the season, right? Tune in each episode, you get your new piece of armor, you complete a particular look, and then at the end of the season, you have characters who can wear the entire set if they want to. And sort of it's a signify that you were there for that season. I was there for season 3. You know what I mean? And I think that that generally draws a lot of interest and popularity from people.
They did that for season 2, right? So,
and I know that armor takes them 8-9 months, whatever it takes them for a set. But Living Story is an entire year, so you could make one armor set in that time.
Yeah, I like that idea since
which those pieces
it seems
are
like the
anyway.
seasons are 6 episodes, so I would like to see a set that is using every Living Story season 3, because I'm thinking like the shoulder fur, you got Caudicus's weird glowy mask, the boots from this one, like it's like yeah, they don't really work well together. Unless, hey, you might have a look like that, and do let us know.
I mean, Mithrin is saying it can't be done. I think maybe it could be done. I don't know. They'd have to make.
Mithrin's right about the
season 2. So
Mithrin's right about the seaming, but that's one of those things where you just kind of have to make a skin that you only instead of you unlock it and then you get all 3 weights. Like
Sure.
A lot of what the dragon helm from Flashpoint, was it Flashpoint? No, it wasn't Flashpoint. What's the one where we went to the Fire Islands the first time?
Ember Bay, Rising
Ember
Flames
Bay.
patch.
Rising Flames, yeah. Rising Flames, the shoulder piece and the helm that we got from that were all 3 weights. So they just have to do something similar to that.
Well, and it can be done because the Karma gear, the Karma armor, the AP armor, Radiant and Hellfire and Radiant is available to all weight classes. So it can be done. I mean, it's just a matter of, and I realize that probably takes them a long time, but a living story generally lasts an entire year. And if you want to put chest and legs at the very end, then I understand. I understand that. That's fine. But I just want a unifying theme is what I'm really sort of getting at here, rather than all these little pieces, which, don't get me wrong, are nice, but I think a unifying theme would be maybe better overall, or more of a carrot on a stick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, real quick, there's a comment about keeping armor type identity. I do not believe that is true anymore. That used to be true for Guild Wars 2. And this is an argument that ArenaNet made for Legendary armor about trench coats and medium armor being armor identity. But that went out the window as soon as they made outfits. As soon as you could have everybody dressed in a bunny suit and run around the world and kill things, or the second you made other armor types that could be shared across multiple weight classes, you killed armor identity. So I don't believe in that anymore. I don't believe that that's a thing.
Not to mention the other point of the fact that armor identity is a thing you'd use in PvP, where, from what I've been told, in general, people who are in the upper echelons of PvP just turn on default models. So you get the like tier 1 blue armor set on, heavy, medium, light. So you can tell at a glance what someone is and what they are using. So if you really want, it's kind of hard to really go, and you brought up outfits. I'm using the Dynamics exosuit on my Ranger because my Ranger is power and it looked like a Power Ranger outfit and I like the joke. But it looks like heavy armor because it's basically plate mail. It's tech plate. So,
well, and they have an outfit they gave away when the game went free to play that is literally armored outfit. You look like a guard, right?
Plate mail, yeah.
Yeah, but it had a little skirt thing that you could say it's a short trench coat. I'm sorry. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some of these answers come next Tuesday. So definitely try to watch that, and we'll be talking about it next week. Let us talk about the One Path Ends patch. And like I said, we're gonna delve into the story stuff later. We might give our general idea of yay or nay, should you play it stuff, but we're not gonna get into lore spoilers here, so don't worry. First up, they added new core Tyria masteries. So if you're struggling to get those last couple points, maybe what is it, the auto looting or fractal stuff like that. I think they added 9 core Tyrian masteries, so that should get you at least one of the last tiers, I think, on most of them.
Yep.
So
I loathe core Tyrian mastery points. I'm happy they put more in, but
I was very lucky. It's in some ways it's a bit of a shame that I was so fortunate, because I can't quite get my head around and grasp the difficulty of getting these core Tyrian mastery points, because most of them were unlocked for me when that system went live. I had previously earned them via Living Story 2 and whatever else is there. So with the exception of doing like Triple Trouble Worm again, I was lucky enough that I didn't really have to go out of my way to get them. And I have sort of a large excess of them now. I'm only missing the new ones plus maybe one from Fractals or something. So this is great though, because I have heard for a while now from a lot of people saying that unless you're willing to either buy or play through Season 2 and do a lot of those achievements, then it can be very difficult for Courtier Masteries. Up to now, I guess.
I think like the week before, I finally got my last one for the last tier of Legendary Crafting, and then they come out with this. I'm like, duh. But where it's like, go, just commune with this place. I'm like, no, come on. But no, Wispy Gem, I think it was one of the things that they didn't mention, but a lot of people noticed it in like in the achievements or whatnot.
Yeah,
so,
I was actually farming an ore, and I was like, huh, that's new, and everyone's jumping up on this wall that was never jumpable before. What? And then I followed them, and it's like, oh, new mastery, cool.
Oh god, thank you, Inks. I'm gonna need that because I still need 6 more points. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I bookmarked it so I could go back to it myself at some point and get them.
I'm just gonna minimize that and keep that up for later.
and also another thing that I think didn't make the first patch notes cut was material storage additions. We've been talking about them all these past weeks. But yeah, 2 new material storage collections have been added: cooking ingredients and scribing materials. The common, fine, and rare material collections have been renamed to basic, intermediate, and advanced, respectively. So, and I know like some stuff like fractal and +1 infusions were added and stuff, like a bunch of different other things. So definitely you might want to go back through your store to make sure you might clear up a couple slots.
I cleared up a lot of inventory space when this was added, just going through and right-clicking and seeing if I could deposit it. Can I deposit? Can I deposit? You know. And then I went through afterwards, and I have this thing where I try to fill up at least one item in every slot in the material store. It's not an OCD thing, but it's like I don't know. Feels good when that is complete, except for I need an unidentified insect, but I have to go to dry top for that. But anyway.
Don't forget the Zunlai Electrum ingots that you'll never be able to fill up.
Well, I have one. I just need one as a placeholder. I don't need like 250 of them or anything.
Well, they don't exist in the game, so.
No, you can make them.
Really?
Yeah, you can
When did that happen?
craft them now. This patch, I think, you can craft them. So yeah, everything is filled except for that one little insect. I went through and crafted the cooking stuff, and I went through and crafted whatever I needed to for scribing, because that's a very large panel to fill. So it was kind of fun.
So
Nice.
Awesome. Also, they did some bug fixes to Fractals, Raids, PvE, and the Mat client. So hopefully, if you were having issues, maybe that was what was holding you back. Or, if you're like me, use that as the excuse. Also, the following legendaries now have custom projectiles: the Juggernaut, the Moot, Bolt, and Meteorologicus. There we go. Listen to him.
Just call it the Weatherman.
Yes. I'm so excited I can't talk today.
Yeah.
But
I saw a video on it. It looks Meteorologicus actually has some pretty good projectile. Now it's like shoots rocks and lightning and stuff. So it's awesome.
I know that some people are saying that they don't really like bolts. I think you just throw the sword.
Well, that's been the projectile for all swords. Like if you have any of the great swords and you do like the Guardian Greatsword 2, it just throws copies of the Greatsword.
Yeah.
So I'll admit I even thought that was kind of meh. So I'd rather see like bolts of lightning flying out, and I'd rather see like blades of sunlight and darkness for Twilight, Sunrise, and Eternity. But let's throw swords.
But if you do have those, start checking your weapons. Not out, just at enemies. Speaking of enemies, World v. World participation changes.
Oh God.
Defending caravan changed from 2 to 5 minutes, and hitting a player or objective with siege changed from 1 to 2 minutes, and capturing a shrine changed from 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, good changes.
Those are good
It
changes.
doesn't. It's good changes for participation, because defending caravans basically wasn't worth your time, as well as these three things here.
Wasn't that something that you just talked about last week, Inks, when we were talking about scoring, when they made the...
A couple of weeks ago, yeah, when they first made those changes, and DeRoyer was going through and being like, it's not worth it to do this, and he had a whole bunch of math to sort of support it. This still doesn't address the actual PIP problem and PIP acquisition, which there was a big, long question form, very well detailed on the AMA, but unfortunately there weren't any Dovey-Dub devs there to talk about it, so it didn't really get answered, which is a shame, because I feel like that really needs to be addressed sooner rather than later, because PIP acquisition, I feel like, is still a bit of a problem, and I feel like Outnumbered still encourages you to play World vs. World in a way that I think was sort of unintended to get those pips, right? I mean, there's going to be a good deal of players, not everybody, obviously, but there's going to be a good deal of players who only care about the pips, or care about the pips more than actually playing the game mode. And I don't know that that's necessarily healthy for the game mode either. Now, Arena's done a lot to sort of discourage it by changing participation, by changing, you have to be in the map for the entire time and so forth, but really it's the draw of the number of pips that you get as well, and they just haven't really, maybe they're trying to collect more data on their end, but we haven't seen that change yet, or even like an address of how they feel about it.
Chat saying pips need to be tied to getting war score to your world. I mean, what do you guys think?
Kind of do. Yeah.
I think that is definitely a system that they should explore the possibilities of, because right now you just need to get to tier 3 participation, which you don't have to do necessarily a whole lot for that really helps your world war score wise. And it doesn't really matter whether you play in a Zerg or if you're a roamer. There are plenty of things you can do to gain war score and to help the server. Roamers and scouts and stuff are just as important as people who play in the Zerg or who play in like the massive battles or whatever. So I think that's a possibility they should explore at least.
Before we move on to the Fractal stuff, without being a spoiler, would you, like, if someone's about to play this story and all the map and everything as a whole, do you say, like, yay, definitely play it, you know, like, meh, you know, you could probably wait, give yourself some time, or, you know, totally just get it for free and just skip it, go back to it whenever, or so. Like I said, we'll get into spoiler stuff later, so.
I'm going to say yay, not necessarily just for story, but for some of the other things that were in the patch that we'll talk about in a bit. But
Map's good, fam.
Map is very interesting. Like Inkset like predicted, is pretty much the center of war, or it was pretty near the center of war. So it pretty much looks like an Orient map, different kind of shrines and stuff. So good map overall. But yeah, we're gonna talk more about other things, and I'll get into details of that later.
I like the jumping puzzle. Like, it's not punishing, and damn, you get a view. So yeah, I'd highly recommend hopping in and at least getting to the map. which I think is like halfway through the chapter.
Not the biggest fan of jumping puzzles since the core game. My problem with them, generally speaking, is I can never figure out where the heck to go. This one is a lot more lenient with that. Like, it's not necessarily straightforward because sometimes there's backtracking and stuff you need to do, but I don't think it's as bad as, say, the last two jumping puzzles that were out there. Although Dracona's Monz's wasn't too terrible. I'm just not the biggest fan of the gliding jumping puzzles, and there's been a lot of that in the living world stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was not too bad.
Yeah, I would say the map definitely grew on me. I like the content of the map. Mechanically, yeah. But
there are some places, and me and Deo actually were talking about it last night. We were running around that the new map mechanic is going to be necessary for a lot of people. The new map mechanic is the new mastery and map mechanic is going to be kind of necessary for a lot more people to have, for a lot of the fights that are big deals to be less onerous. But I think that's just kind of something that happens on every map.
I would say that I think the mastery isn't, even though there's a training ground for it that I went to, I was just like, meh, I don't really care about this mastery or need this mastery. Once you sort of get the hang of it, you understand what's going on, it can be fun and it can be useful. It can really like help you in some of those fights, but yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a strange mastery.
yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Well, let us talk about the new Fractal we got, and as proof, at least one of us, I believe two of us total, have gone into the Fractal. There's Age in the new Shattered Observatory. It's pretty crazy. From what I've heard, like I said, unfortunately, I haven't got a chance to go in yet, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. If you've gone in, how have you enjoyed it?
It is literally, I think it is the best Fractal they've ever made.
That is a
wow.
skybox.
Yeah.
That is one hell of a skybox. I like that.
It is literally and figuratively out of this world. I really like it.
Go ahead, H.
I was just gonna say to me it felt like a 5-man raid, and there are a lot of cool mechanics in the fight. There's low gravity, so you can it's like you're on the moon. It's there was a good story arc at the end. It's fantastic.
Now, what scale did you do?
I did tier 4 and tier 1.
Okay, so you got to try at the max, like.
Yeah,
do you even say at the lower tier it feels like a 5-man raid, or like that's why I was curious.
I would say tier 4 is more of the 5-man raid because the mechanics are more or less the same, but they just get a little bit more harder to execute.
Mm-hmm.
So it requires a bit more teamwork in that department. But and I didn't even try challenge mode. That might be insane, but
It is.
So yeah, if you want to like just experience it, I would definitely say go tier 1. If you want like a nice challenge, go tier 4. If you really want a challenge, try the challenge mode. Yeah, cool. I love it. I like it.
It's a tough one. I've seen a lot of complaints from people about how tough it is. I think that apparently I think there's a little bit of a scaling issue at the lower levels. It doesn't feel like it's scaled down enough from the complaints that I've seen. I've only played it on tier 4 and I've only done CM. Now, I haven't completed CM because the second boss is you got to really be good at avoiding damage, and I am terrible apparently at avoiding damage. I get hit by everything, so it's a bit frustrating in that aspect. And I'm sure the more I play it, I can already feel the more that I play it, the more I get used to the mechanics that are there, and I'm getting better at avoiding stuff. But that second boss feels like it's more difficult than the last boss, just because of there's a large playable space. Every inch of it feels like it's covered by AoEs, constant lightning. There's a ball mechanic that's fairly fun, actually. But if you screw the ball up, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah.
It's an interesting boss, and but all three bosses are really interesting. I had a real big problem with fear originally, especially on the last boss, because the platform is much smaller than the others, and I would get feared, and I didn't have a stun break because the build that I play doesn't normally carry one, and I didn't realize at first that there's a special action key that will break the stun. Like, you can use it to break out of the stun. So at least twice, it just feared me, and I just ran right off the edge. I literally just sat there and was like, all right, gonna die in about 3 seconds when I can't stop myself. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there, and I think if people just gave it more of a chance, then they would enjoy it more. You know, it can be a bit difficult, and I understand that, because on day one, like I was streaming for, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours. So I finished the story. I did some other stuff. I go to do fractals after being live for 6 or 7 hours. And people are already like, tier 4s, you have to have full pots, full food, and experience, and know all the fights. And I'm like, it came out today. What do you mean know all the fights? It just started.
I want to send punches through the internet. Like, I want to be able to punch or just backhand someone for being dumb on the internet.
There you go, Internet.
But anyway,
sell them in the gem store. They open the letter, it gives them a knockback.
All I did was make my own party, and I said, you know, learning tier 4. I didn't even bother doing the lower tiers, which I probably should have done. But I just said learning tier 4, and that's, I mean, I found a group. You know, people were more than happy and willing to learn. And I ran into a group last night where I already knew the mechanics, but 3 of the other people didn't. And I was with another guy, some random guy, and he was explaining like everything to them, and the group was super patient. So, you know, just make your own group or look for those learning groups, because they will be out there, even if you see people who are like experienced players only on day 1, and it's like, how experienced could you possibly be? It just came out.
That just reminds me of gear score from World of Warcraft, when people were like, you have to have X gear score, and that was like hundreds above the content that they were doing. And it's like, the gear that's dropping, like, I have to be rating the hard mode version of what you're asking me to plug into.
What's funny about that is, so today's fractals rather, I got into a group, and they were regular fractals. We didn't do this new one, which I'll talk a little bit more about in just a second. And we were having a little bit of difficulty because 2 of the players kept dying a lot. I was one of the last people to die, and the guy who formed the group kept saying, why are you not using pots? And I'm like, because I don't need them. I don't have them. Like, I don't have the unlimited ones unlocked. So I was like, I don't need pots. Just go buy them. They're cheap. I'm like, first of all, I'm not even dying. I'm the last one to die in every fight. Secondly, these are normal tier 4 fractals that have been out long before pots existed. You don't need them. Do they help? Sure. But it's not, me using pots is not going to keep the other people who are dying alive necessarily. But there's this attitude. He basically said to me, either buy pots or I'm going to kick you from the group. And I'm like, fine, I'll go buy pots. But it's like, it's just such a waste. Like, anyway.
I'd leave the group.
But anyway, the story, without spoiling it, it's pretty interesting. I don't know how I feel about the ending. I need to like watch it again or something. It's okay, I guess. It's okay. But I generally like it. I just hate the second boss because I'm terrible at avoiding all of her stuff. But I'm sure I'll grow to love her like Tiny.
But it was kind of interesting, like kind of what Uncultured Savage was saying. basically seeing what is happening, and because of all like the character particle effects. I saw on Reddit, I forget who did it, but did like already a solo
Yeah.
one Fractal 100, not CM of course, but at the last fight, and someone was like, literally one of the comments was like, wow, this is actually a beautiful fight, so now that you can actually see it, like, because I guess, you know, of course with all the particle effects of all the characters. But
I'm always impressed by people who can solo these things, because they're I have trouble with 5 people, and they do it by themselves.
What profession were they playing, Dale?
I don't really remember. I forget at this. It's probably Thief. It's always Thief. Was it one of the patch notes, Thief Wars 2? It was changed. Branding.
Yeah.
But any other thoughts on the new Fractal? I've heard nothing but good things. Like, definitely try it if you can.
I need to go play it.
Yeah. I will say this: if you haven't played it yet, or if you have done the Fractal and you all just like quit right afterwards, stay for the end, because there is a story arc at the end. If you haven't played it, or if you exited right away with your group, stay for the end. Tell your party, I'm going to stay for the end story bit. It's actually pretty interesting.
And chat was saying that was they think it was an Ellie that soloed it. So.
Oh, okay. Actually, that makes sense.
Overall, did you like the little Fractal trilogy that they gave us in parallel? Would you like to see them do that maybe for season 4 and whatnot?
I kind of did. Yeah.
I feel like it's going to get to a point where they're going to have multiple fractals per scale, or something that I think Amalang was talking about in chat earlier, is that don't have a fractal level to a given fractal scale, have each individual fractal have scales to it. So like you can do a tier 1 swamp, a tier 2 swamp, a tier 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Or just break it down to the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 that way. Because I mean, how much variation is going to be between tier 1 and tier 2 of the same? So, but I do like that idea. Like,
yeah, I just think it's going to get to a point where they have more than 25 fractals, and it's going to get to a point where you're going to have to do like tier 2, 3, or 4 fractals in order to see any of these story arcs that they're putting into fractals. So,
right.
Mm.
Okay, we'll see. There is a Daredevil that soloed it. So see, yeah, it's Thief. Whatever.
Hey.
Oh, an Elementalist soloed the second. Okay. Yeah. Oh God.
Who knows? Who knows? But you know, from moving away from the trilogy of the Fractal to something else that came in 3s. Yeah.
You can't.
What?
Oh, keep going.
Yeah, I set you up like that. That's what I did. All right. We got not 1, not 2, but like I said, 3 legendaries this update. 2 of them were actually weapons, which I think that's what everybody's like, we got 2 legendaries. And then I don't think this was in the patch notes, but people noticed it was a legendary trinket collection in the achievement section, which you can get a legendary trinket. So we actually got 3 legendaries this expansion to go after. First up, we have the Sharur. I hope I'm saying that right. Okay. Sharur. And thank you to Welly9. We'll throw in the link into chat, but we'll also have it in the description on YouTube. So, but this way you can kind of see the animations. The nice thing about this, it has like a day-night effect to it, as you can kind of see here right now. It's the daytime. Kind of has almost like a water-like shimmer over like almost an aura around the weapon. You can see the footfalls and stuff like that, but nighttime definitely changes it up. it kind of shows the corruption side of
Yeah.
ore, because it is an ore themed one, which we talked about last week as speculation. So, but as you can kind of see right here, what are your guys' thoughts on the hammer legendary?
I thought it was like undead hands coming up before. I'm glad to see it's coral and not that. The footfalls are cool. I don't know how I feel about the transformation at night, especially when you just kind of unsheath it, and I'm waiting for it to actually show up on the stream. But when you unsheath it and it's just kind of there, like there's no grow animation that I really saw.
There's a bit of one. I think that at night it looks really cool. My problem is during the day, which the majority of the game will be played during the day. It looks like a black lion skin, basically. I mean, even less than one sometimes. So I feel like they could have done something special for the daytime, like something a little more special for the daytime. I don't know. The daytime doesn't look as impressive to me.
What Orient theme would you put for the daytime then?
It's a good question.
I kind of would dig it having the kind of like blue spirit fire on it, not the faux fire kind of looking stuff, but the other stuff you see in ore. Just having that as the aura instead of anything else. Like, I'd be okay with that as a replacement for the daytime effect.
I understand what they were going for here. In the daytime, it is a clean Orient look, like the architecture and such. It's just that at nighttime, it then transforms and color changes and looks cooler than it looks in the daytime. I don't know. Daytime is a little underwhelming, I feel like.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, nighttime definitely shows the legendary quality of it visually. I mean, night or daytime, it just shows like footfalls and stuff like that. So, and I kind of agree with chat. Like, I'd probably go for Juggernaut first. I mean, like, it turns your whole body silver. That's awesome. That's crazy.
I will say that I like that this one is like a real hammerhead and Juggernaut's like a parking meter.
I like this. I have to agree. This is shaped much more like an actual weapon, and I like that.
Right.
So.
Also, the other one was a one-handed sword. It is the Shining Blade. And thank you to Mary, and we'll throw that link out in chat as well.
Now I have to go
in the links.
Get this for my guardian. Damn it.
The sword is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
This is the best weapon in the game. Hands down. Yes,
we were talking about before the show. Everybody was like, we got to go after this one. Like, I think everybody individually said it.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
See, okay, so I love the sword, right? I love the effects, the footfall effects, or the shining blade symbol. I like everything about this sword. But if they made Infinite Light a legendary, gave it footfall effects and a little bit more shiny, I don't know. I think I would like Infinite Light even more. I'm a sucker for that sword for whatever reason, the shape of the blade and all that. But
I can actually see Infinite Light. When it's sheathed, you don't actually see the blade, and then when the draw animation is the runes etching themselves.
But that doesn't take away from this sword. This sword is awesome. I definitely want it. It's on my list of. It's on a very long list of things to do, but it's at the top of the list somewhere. So yeah,
I really dig the arm effects.
Yeah.
Like those are really cool.
There's a lot that's going on. You know, the blade itself sort of opens a little bit. The hilt folds back.
That's what I found really cool. It had the medium armor legendary transformation stuff, because I was wondering if Arena was ever going to have a use for that technology when they made it, and it looks like they're going to apply it to maybe some of the legendaries, starting with this one. So
honestly, when I first saw it, all I could think of was what's the WoW one, like Thunder Fury, Blessed Fury of the Wind Seeker.
Did somebody say Thunder Fury, Blessed Blade of the Windseeker?
Yeah. Like, I just instantly got the
Blade
feeling of
is
that.
a little bit similar. Tiny bit.
Yeah.
I can see, like...
But I do like this one better than that one, so... Definitely.
The other thing that I really liked about this that the others don't have is that, and not to spoil it, but this weapon is featured in the game in a way that the other legendary weapons aren't really, without actually having this quest to go on. So while it's not like a perfect replacement for that questing system, like a Chuka and Chumpawat, which I think was really sort of the high point of that questing system, or that collection system, I still really like that it was featured within the game and sort of extra lore that ties into it as to why it's legendary or why it's cool.
Yeah, it definitely gave it a story without... I mean, you know, technically wasn't during the personal story the Gate Guardian and Ore, like, this is Guild Wars 2 core stuff, so no spoiler needed. Wasn't the Gate Guardian, didn't he have the legendary greatsword or something, I thought, at some point? I mean, it's been a while, but I thought so. But that I
does have a special weapon, but I don't remember which one.
I definitely don't consider that like that's where it came from. Like, this is legitimately, you know, it's you can probably tell from the name, the Shining Blade. I mean, so I'm definitely glad that they've added some story of its existence in the world rather than, you know, here's these legendary weapons. Why are they legendary? Yeah.
Yeah. Just to answer, Atravka is an incinerator, sort of the same tech. So the tech that they made for legendary medium armor, or legendary armor in general, is to have like transformative properties. So either things would appear out of nowhere, things would move around like a transformer, basically. So from what I see, when I actually previewed it in game, the sword had the same transformative properties as legendary medium armor, where things appeared or moved around in such a way that it would like transform to a different version of itself. Incinerator doesn't have that per se. It just has basically a flame on, flame off type of deal going on.
They kind of cheat the system with Incinerator because it has the draw effect. It looks like the hilt is sparking on, and then the blade appears. So they're really just turning the blade on and off as part of the model. So
people are asking about an effect around the hands, but you can see that Revenant. Before they unveil, they're on a Revenant and they're in Shiro stance. There's a green glow around the wrists, which gives it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see them switch to Shiro when I think they're about to charge a Moa. Like, you can see the Shiro thing above their head, so... But, yeah. I think up the arm, the purple stuff, that's the weapon, but not...
Yeah, the purple is the weapon. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, like I said, we got our first ever trinket legendary, which it is Aurora. And thank you to Tushkit. And we'll put the link to the video in chat, but if you're watching us on YouTube, it will be in the description. Like we said, it's
shouldn't it be more pink?
I actually messaged. I put messages like, "Hey Aurora, did you see the new trinket?" I'm like, no, it's like it's like, this is awesome. So
yeah, it's basically a purple aura, and as you can see, like it kind of like as you're walking, shoots off like little like stars or spark type things. But as you cast, which you'll see here in a bit, you get 4 different sized orbs when you kind of go into combat, and which I think that's pretty cool. I mean,
that I like. That's really cool.
Some people seem to really not really like I mean, I like the effect, but some people seem to not love that effect, and they're worried. In the AMA arena, it said that they have a whole set of legendary trinkets that they're going to be working on, and not all of them will be tied to Living Story. So the concern is from people, the more of these things that you get, the more these effects are going to stack along with infusions possibly, and your character is just going to be like overwhelming with these effects. Now, I love that, but there's obviously some people that do not love that, and they're very like vocal about the fact that they want to be able to shut these effects off or remove them or something. Some people I've even heard said they want an infusion slot. My only problem with an infusion slot is how many infusions can you put in there? Are you going to limit the number of infusions I can have? Because I'm on the exact opposite side of the fence where I want as many effects as possible. And I fully understand that not everybody likes that and not everybody wants that. So hopefully there's a way that ArenaNet can sort of make both sides happy with this, because I can understand the more of these things that you get, the more floating balls or exploding flames or sparks or something that's going to come off your character. And some people really want to look at their character. They want to see their armor and stuff. I have medium legendary armor, so I want to hide it with as many effects as possible. But other people are not going to be like me. And this is what I'm working on. I want this legendary trinket pretty badly.
Yeah. Looks pretty cool.
I mean, they have a plan for it. I wonder if they all work together, because yeah, I'm one of those people that's slightly worried about someone being a giant ball of light. Like I know Inks can't wait for it, but I was starting to think once I saw the orbs, what if if you actually got all, what is it, 5 accessories?
5, well, it'd be 5, yeah.
What if maybe those orbs are like planets, like almost you get like a galaxy behind you, like that seems pretty legendary. Yes. Like it adds another piece to it and another piece that, powers combined.
That would definitely be cool. They would have to do things on their own as well, though. So let's say the next trinket adds like Saturn rings or something around one of them. I mean, that'd be cool, but then if you only use the one, are you just gonna have rings floating above your head? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, like the planets are gonna be that trinket. Like maybe the other one's gonna be like literally a planetary backdrop type thing.
Right? Yeah, maybe.
So they can all function separately, but together it's gonna give you this, beautiful image.
I have to agree with Mithrin here, though, is we do kind of need the ability to turn on and off effects, because I love this. I agree with you that I think people should have the option to be giant glowing balls of light, and more power to you, Inks. If you need help with that, if you need any assistance in collecting things, let me know. I'll help you out. But I do think it's going to get to a point where I think that there's going to come a point where you want to cull other people's effects primarily, which they might just do automatically.
I can definitely appreciate that.
And I can definitely understand people rating, and it's like, well, I've got legendary armor, I've got legendary weapons, I've got legendary trinkets, I've got a legendary back piece. I can't see my own character. Can I turn this off, please? I get that.
Yeah. Maybe some check boxes for the trinkets or something.
Or an effects tab in the hero panel would, because that seems like, or, under equipment, where it has equipment wardrobe dies, just have effects in there and just be able to toggle stuff in there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It would also be nice if you could, in that system, so let's just say supposedly, right? In that system, then maybe you could separate some of the effect, like the snow effect from the shoulders or the bat from the shoulders, because right now they're tied to those shoulders. You can only use one or the other instead of it being an infusion, which I kind of feel like it should be an infusion of some kind. But semi-different topic, but could be included in the same solution, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of like the planets idea. Like you get all those different trinkets and you make.
Oh, I am gonna be such a beautiful snowflake. You have no idea. There's gonna be planets and snow and bats and glowy effects and
once they do that, I want Inks to have like a Galactus outfit, just so he has that effect behind him. And a little tiny sword dressed as Galactus with the.
I get little dragon wings when I enter combat, and all kinds of things that will crash my potato computer.
I am now a god. You're a god.
I deserve this.
But overall, are you guys happy with like getting these 3 legendaries? And
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Guys, they've been postponed indefinitely. They're never going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if they stop now, I'm happy because I got late. So. Okay.
So, and a little bit of clarification too. We need to move on, obviously, but the rest of the weapons, the rest of the legendary weapons, they haven't finished yet. So the great sword, the focus, and so on, those will come with Living Story Season 4. They will resume. So this leads me to believe that in the expansion we could get at least one, maybe at least one legendary trinket. You know what I mean? And that might rub some people the wrong way because they haven't finished the weapons yet. But you know, Mo has been very clear for the last couple of AMAs because people keep asking. But the legendary weapons will resume in Living Story Season 4. They've already said that it won't tie, like it's going to tie to the old currencies and stuff. It's not like you'll need to complete the new maps to complete those. It'll be still tied to Heart of Thorns like the other ones are.
You won't need the next expansion in order to get the new legendaries.
Right.
Is that what he said, basically?
Right.
That's
yeah.
what it sounded like, which is good.
So there is sort of one question that is unanswered, and that is, will you need to play Season 4 to get them? Or if I decide not to buy the expansion, I mean, who's kidding here? I'm going to get the expansion. But let's just say I didn't get the expansion for some reason. It sounds like you're still going to be able to access those weapons regardless.
Yeah, because if they're doing it the way they've done in the past, like all the maps have a vendor that sells the shards that you need to make the legendary. So if they keep doing it that way, it should be fine.
Like even when they add these new legendaries, like the sword and the hammer, you can go to Heart of Thorns maps and use the currency there to buy the tokens and stuff that you need. You don't need to go into any of the Living Story maps to get that stuff. You can; those are additional options, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Well, let us talk about, or are we getting a new game director? Oh, I got your attention now, huh? So they put out a blog post this past week. Mike O'Brien was first commented about the focus of how content was released. Basically talking about the Living Story schedule and like how they've been very done, great things with the 2 to 3 month release cycle and the quality of everything. He also mentioned that Mike Z, who is currently the lead designer for the second expansion and has been the lead designer for a while now, I think since 2013, I want to say, if not earlier.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah, he's been a lead he's been different leads for a long period of time.
Yeah. Which I found it funny because I saw a lot of people congratulating him on being the lead designer recently, which he's probably like, yeah, like thanks. But supposedly he's going to be taking over kind of a lot of this stuff that the game director will be doing. At least that's what Mike O'Brien was saying. So it seems like he's gonna hopefully be our next game director. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that blog post as a whole, and Mike Z being the game director, possibly?
I find it funny because I kind of came in halfway after that because I was driving at the time, and then my phone starts blowing up. You guys talking about this on Twitter in the private convo we talk about. Why are people saying that he was only made the lead designer of the expansion now? How did people misread that?
How do people even think that? That's kind of weird.
Like, apparently that was a thing that people thought, is that he was just made the lead designer of the expansion right now, which we all talked about in the conversation. Is like, if they change the lead designer of the expansion right now, There are problems,
Oh,
man.
if they would have did that, Mike Z would have been the next Cormier. Just comes
Oh
out the
my
end and takes the
God.
credit.
Oh,
Get
no.
out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where people were getting this idea from. I mean, he's been the lead for a long time. He's been a lead designer in general, not just expansion 2, but for Guild Wars 2. He's been a lead designer before for different sections of the game and so on.
I'm also not super worried. Like, he's been with the team since
A long time.
10 years. He's been with ArenaNet. He's been
Yeah.
there since the beginning of Guild Wars 2. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally okay with that.
The Hunger Games?
Yeah, I don't know. I think
Yeah,
some
that's
people
the-
just they sort of read too much into these things. I wish Mike all the best. Hope the expansion's great. I look forward to seeing what direction he takes the game in. You know, we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That, and we're likely not going to see his effect on the game for several months. So
Yeah. Any final thoughts on? I mean, it's cool to hear that, you know, like you guys have said. Hopefully, we'll see
Gonna have
Good
a permanent
direction.
game director, and Mo will go back to doing most stuff, mostly.
Mhm.
So
mostly.
Mostly.
mostly, yeah. So good stuff. Can't wait.
Awesome. Well,
Congrats to Mike Z.
yeah. Hopefully, he doesn't screw up, or Mo might have to give him an out-of-game ban hammer.
Oh my God.
The transitions today.
They're just
Yeah.
degrading as time goes on.
I don't know what you
Oh,
mean.
boy.
It was flawless. But speaking of ban hammers, apparently there's been some foul play in the automated tournaments, which I think you guys talked about last week. There was like they were looking into it, but now they have came down with judgment, and it was a ban hammer for the players involved in the automated tournament scandal. So don't worry, it's not everybody. If you're like sitting there going, I played in the automated tournaments, no, like it's not everybody. It's just a small group of players.
Just you know who you are.
So they made a forum post. The Guild Wars 2 PvP team made a ruling on Friday, and they said, as many of you are aware, we received many reports that the winners of July's monthly tournament were not played by the owners of those accounts. After thorough investigation, we have found that these accusations are true. We are taking this very seriously. The following 10 players listed below have been given permanent dishonor. And for people that aren't aware, permanent dishonor, that means like if you leave matches early, you usually get temporary dishonor, and that's basically you don't get credit and points towards like rank and all that stuff. Oh, you can't even join? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it means that they
So.
can't play PvP basically.
Yeah, permanent basically rules them out of doing PvP, at least on that account.
They can get into custom arenas.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
They can play PvE, they can play World vs. World, but no unranked, no ranks, no automated tournaments.
Yikes.
There's more. Like they're go ahead, Dale.
Oh, they also said, in addition, we have removed prizes gained by the winning players and have cleared the statues. They will retain the titles for a short while until we can remove them in the future. We will be continuing to monitor tournaments in the future. So, yeah, overall, do you guys think this was too far, not enough, perfect punishment, or...
Stop being bad in PvP.
That's well. It's a little more than that. I saw the people responding to your tweet about that, Inks. It's a little more than a slap on the wrist, because this is you are no longer able to play the thing, and these guys stream too, or used to anyway, right? They're no longer allowed to play the part of the game that they played before. Like, if anytime you have people who are highly rated in PvP, generally speaking, if there's another mode in that game, they really only play PvP. So They have just been kicked out of the only thing they really do in Guild Wars 2 permanently.
But
So
can't they just buy a new account and keep playing?
And then they'll find out who they are and ban them.
Well, I don't think it says that. I mean,
On all of their alts? No, that means that literally they are perma-banned from PvP.
yeah,
It
it's
says
true.
them,
Some of
it
them,
says them in alts, but I imagine that means their current alts. If, don't get me wrong, if they went public and say, okay, I have an account again, then sure, I'm sure that they would permanent dishonor that account as well. They'd have to
This is Tyler 1 from League of
about
Legends. They are permad from PvP. No more running it down mid for them.
chat's saying it does include new alts, but to be fair, not all of them are getting that and all their alts. Some of them are, but some of them are not. That's important to note. But yeah,
right. It would include any new alt. It would include all that stuff, right? If they know that they made a new alt, is kind of my point, you know. And sure, there's a good possibility that they could figure that out, but I feel like, you know, this does hurt those PvPers a lot, with the guys who bought the tournament in the first place from the PvPers. I don't feel like this really punishes them enough, because, okay, they lose the rewards that they paid for to get, but they're just going to go back to PvE and continue playing the game like nothing happened.
But they're also out a crap ton of money.
Sure, they're out on $400, even though there was insinuation they might try to do a chargeback. I don't know whether that's true or not, but regardless of it, yeah, they're out $400, but so what? They still keep playing the game. They just can't PvP, which who knows whether or not they care a whole lot about that, other than like achievement progress or something. I don't know. I feel like it's certainly not a slap on the wrist, right? That's just sort of like being overly silly about it. I said that on Twitter as well. I don't see this as a slap on the wrist. I do see this as a serious punishment, but at the same time, I don't feel like the PvE guys really got punished enough. The PvP guys literally won't be playing the game anymore, or generally won't be playing the game anymore, because all they did was PvP. The PvE guys will go off to do World vs. World and PvE and raids and fractals and new content, and they'll just continue to play.
Yeah, I see. That's the thing, is I thought that, you know, people were mostly being, you know, all up in arms about what the PvPers got. I can kind of see the PvE players that paid for it, this being kind of meh on them, because, oh, our stupid ploy didn't work.
And not only that, but I sort of see, and I know not everybody will agree with this sort of viewpoint, I see this as they gambled and lost.
mm-hmm.
They took a gamble, they put money out there, they lost that money, they didn't win anything, and then they just go back to their normal lives and keep doing whatever they're going to do. This doesn't, I mean, they didn't even get, unless Arena did extra and they didn't tell us, they didn't even get a temporary ban for this. They just got permanently banned from structured PvP.
It's possible that they did have more action taken against them, and ArenaNet doesn't want to pile on with the announcement. But then again, this could just be the judgment from the PvP team, and if there's a separate disciplinary team that handles other sections of the game, that they just have chosen either to not say or haven't said anything yet. So
there's also something concerning where there was, I'm not going to name names, but there was a discussion on Twitter about old PvP bans, old players that were banned in PvP for sharing accounts and breaking terms of service, much like this, where they got banned and then after a long period of time were quietly unbanned. And of course, then the community doesn't really know about that, right? And if they did, they would probably be pretty upset about it. And it used to be that back in 2012, Nike even pointed out that there was the whole snowflake exploit, which wasn't, according to Nike anyway, it wasn't truly an exploit, that people got perma-banned from the game for. And you'll remember that Kripparrian very early on got perma-banned for sharing out the idea of making and selling the pepper poppers or whatever they were called, right? And obviously since 2012, their mindset and idea has changed. And a lot of this goes back to, I don't know whether it was an article or what it was, but some of the World of Warcraft devs, or one of the World of Warcraft devs, talked about this idea of permabans really sort of hurt the game in the long run and didn't really help or properly punish people. And they moved more to like this 6-month ban process rather than permanently banning you, allowing players to learn from their mistakes and, you know, still be able to play and enjoy the game after a lengthy ban, hoping that on their first offense anyway, that you won't ever do it again. And then, of course, if you did it again, the punishments were much stricter, obviously, right?
That might have actually been Ghostcrawler, I think, who said that.
Right, and like Blizzard had this whole thing about why they felt it was more effective, why they thought it was better for the game as a whole. And I think a lot of people, developer-wise, sort of ascribe to that sense of feeling. I'm a little merciless in handing these things out, but then again, I don't work in development and I don't work in the games industry, and so I don't have the insight and information that a lot of those people would have.
I think Amalang kind of has a point there too in chat. If they wanted to, if they really cared about paying for the titles, they wanted to finish the game. So these are people who are super completionist, and now they literally have no chance to ever do that again.
If it was really that important to them, they would start over. They probably won't start over because ArenaNet took just enough away from them to keep them playing and didn't take away everything. They just took away this section of the game, a third of the game from them. So yeah, sort of, but I don't really, personally, if it was me, not that I would buy an automated tournament, but this would not affect me whatsoever. And getting this sort of punishment, this is going to sound really terrible, but getting this sort of punishment would only, it wouldn't stop me from trying another scheme later on. I would just be more careful next time. And that sounds terrible. I know how that sounds, but it's not a harsh enough punishment that it's going to make me rethink my actions and stop myself from doing it again.
You're just the worst person, Inks.
I'm just the worst person in the world.
Clearly.
But if you can get away with murder, which that's, you know, a bit over dramatizing it, but if you can get away with it without much penalty, a lot of people will try to do it again and push that envelope, and not in a good way.
I was saying, if anything, like partially I agree with Inks. It's like if I, from being a pure PvE player, honestly, it incentivizes me. Everybody else goes, hey, you should hop in PvP. Sorry, I can't. I got banned from it. Just that. I can only play PvE, guys. Sorry. If anything, it helps me. But I'm not going to do it.
I just feel like the PvE players should have been not extra punished. I mean, they should all have been punished equally. But this should have extended past just PvP, even though that's where the infraction occurred, because the PvE players don't care really. I mean, yes, they lost money, but it was a gamble that they took, and they lost that gamble.
Yeah. I took some time to think about it, and the more I thought of it, the more I started getting more pissed off, because think about it, like PvP has been suffering for like the past year and a half now, with all of the issues that came in and out. And automated tournaments was like the final solution to like the competitive side for the 5v5 thing, and people legitimately practice to try to get good, to face off with people of top tier caliber, things like that. And it feels like you just like crapped all over that effort, and just by buying into it. And that really made me mad, especially the way PvP was in. I think that's what like really made me mad. And I do agree that the PvE players got off a little easier, just because I don't know how much PvP they play, but I feel like they don't, and they just really got off easily. I do agree that everyone should have gotten the same penalty as well. the people who are involved with playing the accounts have been on occasion have done things in the past. I don't know about the players who spent $400. I don't know what they've done or if they've done anything, but I feel like they all should have gotten the same penalty. I was leaning towards more 1-year ban from the entire game. I think that would have been a sufficient punishment. And if they did it again, I would permaban them from the game entirely. But that's just me.
I'll say this other thing real quick too. I've seen a lot of comments on the official forums and such saying that good job ArenaNet, you just banned half your pro players or half your pro scene on NA. If half your pro scene is 5 people, you have much bigger problems to worry about than banning those 5 people.
If half the pro scene is 5 people, then there's no pro scene. They're just really good at the game.
Exactly. Like, if the pro scene is 10 people, then, like, you
jump out of PvP and do a raid.
Yeah.
So, like,
they just needed 5 more people.
Just 5 more people. That argument just seems a bit silly to me that, like, oh, you just killed half your pro scene because you lost 5 people. And it's like, I understand that these 5 people in NA were the top rated or at least pretty darn close to the top rated players. And I understand how that hurts the scene. I really, really do. And I'm really disappointed that they went this route and chose to do this in order to get themselves banned, because a lot of these guys from the Absurd I really like and I rooted for when they were playing in Worlds and stuff. The team is a bit different now than it was then, but regardless, I really liked a lot of these guys, and it's just a bit of a shame that this happened. But you can't allow people to break terms of service. You can't allow them to ruin the integrity of the game and go against the competitive spirit that is set there. You can't let them just do whatever they want and get away with it. So it sucks. It really does. But
yeah,
a response needed to happen to this.
Yeah. If you think about it this way, If ArenaNet went lightly on them, and let's say they were able to still play, but they just went lightly on them, that means your automated tournaments are a joke. That means, like, you just have to pay to the highest bidder, and you'll get your crown or whatever. And that just takes away the entire idea of competitive over automated tournaments. There's just no point. Now, on the opposite side, you have to, and if you flick a harsh punishment, yes, it does hurt the scene, but it's not necessarily ArenaNet's fault, because like Ing said, they have to keep the integrity of the game, and they have to set a standard. And if you're going to break that standard, you're going to break TOS. You have to get punished accordingly.
I will say too that I'm not familiar with all of these people, all of their actions, if they've had other indiscretions in the past with the game. My initial reaction, like most people, is like, what do you mean? They need to be banned from everything, and that's a poor reaction. I agree. But maybe they should, like Age said, gotten a year banned or a 6-month ban or 8-month ban or something from the entirety of the game. And then that's your first offense. You do it again, it's going to be worse, right? Maybe that would have been a better solution perhaps, but yeah, I don't know.
It kind of sucks too, because I feel like some of those people don't actually care, and that kind of sucks as well. But I did see the Uni Gaming Organization. For those who don't know, that's a community-driven tournament that's spirited by Jebro and Niaz admins, and they talked it over, and they did a temp ban for those players involved, all the players involved. And there was a lot of debate about, this is an ArenaNet thing only. You shouldn't, put it, you shouldn't put it into your tournament, or other people in your tournament probably clamor for that so they can win money, and they don't face against those people. It's like, I don't think they were thinking about that at all. I think they were thinking about their integrity of their tournaments and what standard they want to set, just like ArenaNet. So I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
Well, I mean, I just found it funny. It's like everybody talking about, Inks is gonna get banned because of all this. It's like I could see ArenaNet saying like, yeah, we're gonna delete all your characters, and you're like, ha, I beat you to it.
Too late, suckers.
I mean, ANET, if you really want to do that, you should charge in the gem store for deleting your character. Speaking of the gem store,
I can't believe he did.
on.
How does he do this? How did we let him get away with this?
Yes, you do. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the gem
from
store.
transitions.
Thank you to Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. So first up, we got the best glider in the game. The Abaddon's glider for 400 gems. A bargain. Some would say a steal. Abaddon's glider.
You know what I'll say about the glider? It's appropriately priced.
Oh.
Whoa.
Economics. Let's go.
Economics. Let's go.
Economics. I mean, normally when you have a special effect glider like this Abaddon glider, whether you like it or hate it or however you feel about it, it has special sounds, it has special red laser beams, there's a creepy glowing head above your body. They would normally charge you 500 gems for this. Easy. But this one's only 400. Better priced.
Such a bargain.
Yep.
That's the
By the way, the
Abaddon.
sounds on this would get to me after a while. Not that I play with sound on a whole lot, but it's very kind of loud.
Yeah. By the way, for those who don't know, the Abaddon model that you see is basically what you fight in Nightfall back in Guild Wars 1 at the end of Nightfall. That was but 50 times larger. Yeah.
Yeah,
My
that is
only
basically the
disappointment
corrupted Abaddon.
is that this isn't also a backpack, so that it could show up when you splash dance.
He just hangs on your shoulders like this.
No, because
Actually, they should
amazing.
have.
can you imagine? Because with this, if you do the slash dance, he does the spin and then snaps and then you die from Nightfall, right?
Yeah.
So he could have just done while you were dancing. Like that would have been perfect.
I want to back.
Put you in a down state.
I want a back item now, just like Abaddon looking like he's giving me a shoulder rub all over Tyria. But like, yeah.
So I'm guessing you bought this, Deo?
No, I didn't. Yeah, I did.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
Just out of purpose, that had to be. But,
Internet Deo supports your Abaddon monetization.
I feel like they watch the show and it's like, we know how to get him now.
No, they're like, our stock is dipping. Hold on, let's bring out the Abaddon stuff. And I'm like, yes.
Oh,
But
man.
we'll talk about the other Abaddon thing, and torn with that one. But another thing that's in the gem store is where is it? The Mistlock Sanctuary, and it is 1,000 gems for a permanent version. I think there's a 2-week version for I think it's like 400 or so gems. I forget the amount, but I mean, of course, you want to go for the permanent one if you. But it's basically similar to the Airship Pass and Lava Lounge, where it has all the basic amenities and stuff like that. But in addition,
better and cooler in every way except
Yes.
one. It has one serious flaw, and that is you can't go look at the map and teleport out of this. You've got to take this portal out, and
Wait, what?
Some people don't like that. Well,
Oh,
I don't know if she's going to show in this video, but when you look at the map, you can't teleport out of it like you would into the map.
They need an exit instance button above your minimap. That's all they really need.
Can't you just reuse the item?
Yeah, if you want to go back to wherever you just were, right?
Yeah.
But
and I think they said they were looking into it. I know that they said their tech right now is, since it's a separate map, but they are looking into it to diminish the whole extra loading screens and whatnot.
oh, MK is saying it doesn't work. It'll spawn you back in the instance. All right,
Oh.
so
That's weird, because don't all the other ones just blip you back out to where you were? Because I thought they all use similar tech to the guild hall, basically.
no, I think only the guild hall does that. I might be wrong on that because I only ever go to the place and then I teleport somewhere else. But no, only the guild hall puts you back to where you were, I think.
Oh my god.
What if they release an exit scroll for 1,000 gems? Oh boy. Anyway, this place is really cool. I like the layout. I like the look of it. I like the anti-gravity thing. It's got everything there, really. I mean, you can go to Fractals from here. I kind of wish they would update some of the other ones, maybe, to be as inclusive, you know? And if you're going to spend 1,000 gems on a permanent place, I think this is the best one, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I originally got the Divinity's Reach one. Granted,
Which I love.
This was,
I use that one all the time.
I wish I would have known about this. Granted, that was, what, year and a half ago, or even probably more.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
But yeah, I would probably pick this one over any of the others. Just, it looks so cool.
Because I think the Queen's Terrace came out for the Jubilee, right?
Oh,
Living
yeah.
Story Season 1.
Yeah, that was a while.
Long time ago.
Yeah. But also some stuff that is on sale. The Lissa's Regalia, Dwayna's Regalia, and the Shining Blade Backpack and Glider combo, which are 490 gems each, 30% off. So,
not a bad discount.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage ArenaNet to always do more discounts like this.
The Shining Blade backpack's pretty cool. I have it. It has a really nice. Well, let me say that I don't like the backpack all that much. I prefer the glider. It has a really nice like chain sound to it. The only reason I don't like the backpack is because yet again you can't dye backpacks. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's always the annoying thing. Like, I like the idea of like your backpack looks like it's turning into the glider, but when one can be dyed and the other one can't, it's like, so why when you glide it turns red instead of like.
I think they'll address that eventually, but they haven't
yeah.
been able to, or they haven't yet.
Also, returning item, the Shield of the Goddess at 600 gems, which is left 3 days left on it. So if you do want that, pick it up. Also, we have in the black, they brought out a new weapon skin set in the Black Lion chest. It is the Abaddon weapons. Yay!
Just you, Dale. Just you.
First, there are some of them that I really do like. The hammer, which is the first one we're seeing, is amazing. That hammer is amazing looking. Though I'll have a video on my channel tomorrow about my initial reaction to these. Why are they 2 tickets? Why?
I was gonna say that's the only thing that I dislike is normally when they're released it's 1 ticket. For some reason they made these 2 tickets. And that instantly kind of, honestly, when I read them in the patch notes, I read like, we have the Abaddon weapon set. I was like, this might be like one of the first sets that I like really try to get every item for. And then they're like 2 Black Lion tickets. I was like, well, thanks for that.
I think either they cater to Deo and just like, how far will you go, Deo, or I really don't know why. Maybe it's because the Abaddon appeal for some reason. Maybe not just Dale, but maybe other people wanted, like, would be hyped for that type of thing. But yeah, I don't understand why it's 2 tickets right now. It should have been.
In comparison to some of the other, like the Zephyr or the Leyline weapons, they're not like, I don't see, like, I can totally see them saying, well, like the tentacles are super hard to handle, so we think they're worth more. Like, compared to some of your other particle effects, no. These should be priced at 1 ticket, just like every other release Black Lion set. Unless these are going to be that one that never leaves. But those were the soulbound ones that they were testing the waters with. So,
which didn't work out for them,
so
thankfully.
My question is this going to be the new norm?
Yeah, are they going to try and start charging us 2 tickets? They better. I mean, I hope not.
I think this is them trying to test the waters, which they did pick something that's very enticing to probably some Guild Wars 1 players. But like I said, as I was reading, I was like, oh, I definitely want these. And I was like, 2 tickets. I'm like, I'm definitely not getting these.
You would be better off spending the gold on
buying
another skin, selling, like, you sell the skins and then you use the profits from selling other skins to buy these off of the trading post, and you would make profit on that.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. I will say this too, which is really cool. I didn't realize that the short bow, the long bow as well, but they have strings, and the short bow string is like this red energy, which is really nice. Still not worth 2 tickets, but yeah.
Yeah.
Still pretty cool.
And I agree with Chad. I was disappointed in the shield. I thought it was going to be almost like the ghastly grinning shield. Or, yeah, that's the one, the big smoky head. Like,
Yeah.
It's just a giant Abaddon head, but then I was like, ah.
One extra ticket for that feature.
Oh, well, most of them look really cool, I think. I'm not going to pay 2 tickets. And I certainly don't want to, I don't want to encourage this for future weapon sets. So as much as I might want 1 or 2 of them, I will not be supporting it.
I agree that the hammer is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's one of the bigger problems with hammers in the game, is there are not enough that feel weighty, so to speak. Like Onus from Halloween last year is one of my favorite hammers in the game at this point. But it's not worth 2 tickets.
Yeah.
It's just not.
I mean, and I'm saying that too, and that's coming from the guy that really wants Abaddon stuff. But 2 tickets, you're really pushing it.
Yeah, for those of you who are new to the show, literally every lore piece Deo tries to tie back to Abaddon somehow still existing.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, I can do it in this episode too when we get to spoilers. I'm just saying. This one's easy.
You
This
mean
is like,
you will do it?
Yes.
Because obviously you will, but
it's a gift. Anyway, well, before we get to all that stuff, we still have we got new black line chests. So while you're getting your keys for these weapons, probably not. You can get the amount of these new black line chests, which are called the Return to Ore black line chests, which guaranteed black line material bag, which have high quality crafting materials, special livings story season 3 materials, a few surprises like ectos, mystic coins, common drops, unidentified dyes, and tomes of knowledge have been removed. I want to stress that. I remember seeing that in the patch notes, and I was like, I think everybody's going to be happy. Unidentified
Everybody
dyes.
instantly tweeted me, Inks,
Yeah.
they listened to you. And I'm like, well, probably not me, but I'll take credit.
To everybody. Yeah. So tomes of knowledge have been removed. If I see someone on the forums or Reddit or somewhere else saying, I miss my tomes of knowledge in these chests, I'm gonna not be responsible for what I do. I'm just saying that.
I've heard some people say that they like the tomes of knowledge because they could get spirit shards out of it, which they turn into gold or silver then.
Go
But
spend 15 minutes in the world.
I was going to say, you get tomes of knowledge from doing almost everything. You get it from dailies. You get it from World vs. World tracks, PvP tracks. You get them just for logging in. You get a lot of them all over the place.
If you're capped on Heart of Thorns or Corteria Masteries, you can continue to re-level, and every time you level, you get a spirit shard.
Yeah, so I just don't think that they belonged in these RNG chests. It's interesting they removed the unidentified dyes. My thought process there is they were giving out hordes of unidentified dyes with the Black Lion chests and have really hurt that market. And I think that they sort of removed them because of that. What's interesting is they've added Mystic Forge Stones, which is, it's okay, I guess. And they added a new Black Lion booster. So what's hilarious about this is when they did the change originally, they took out the booster you were going to get, and they replaced it with this seasonal item. And since then, seasonal items have gotten a lot better. Like this seasonal item here is actually pretty good. You can get some really good stuff out of it, but they brought the booster back. To be fair, though, this is a much better all-around booster that sort of focuses on a lot of things rather than the variety of boosters that you used to be able to get. So, and some people said to me, well, I was happy the boosters were gone. Some people really liked getting those boosters. And if you're going to be doing a lot of World vs. World, these boosters can definitely come in handy for those reward tracks and stuff like that. So
I
not
grabbed
so
5.
bad when you get these.
I got one of the boosters. I like the booster. It has a good. You're right. It's a good all around boost. You can be in any game mode for it. It will be helpful in everything.
Yeah, I just feel like most people, and I used to do this myself really badly, just hoard boosters. They hardly ever use them. But and the other good thing, I didn't realize Mithrin said the booster stacks with other boosters. So boost away.
Yeah, and like you guys said, it seems like it's a good encompassing one. So instead of having a chance at every single booster, at least it's only one in the rotation and not like, what was it, like 8? Something.
Right, yeah.
There was a lot. So, I'm just happy we got Tombs of Knowledge out. Like, please don't come back. We did it, guys. Yeah.
It does make it better, that's for sure.
But also uncommon, you can get the Feathers of the Zephyr package with the golden Zephyr back piece. Also the Feathers of Zephyr glider, the mini Dwayne messenger, and a communal booster as a chance, which we can show those off, which here's the Feathers Zephyr, the back piece, and then it's going to lead into the glider itself, which I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. It's basically Dwayne themed. It looks absolutely beautiful, especially if you're I've seen so many people go after like the Dwayne roleplay, especially once they came out with those like the Ascended back piece that kind of had the Dwayne theme on it. But
I mean, I think the back piece looks really underwhelming to me personally. The glider is really cool though, and you can dye the feathers. You can get a really cool dye effect on those feathers by dyeing the 2 different channels.
I don't mind the fact that the back piece is super like understated. I would say it's more a delicate piece. So I think that's definitely something that fits with going into the glider. The feathers are supposed to be, magic. So
yeah.
I think it's a solid glider as well.
Mhm.
The back piece, it's more of a simple approach because it kind of feels like one of those. Kind of feels like it's Roman in that respects. If you kind of understand where I'm going with that, but yeah, I think they're both okay. Yeah.
Also, we have the mini Dwayne messenger, and you can see it right here. It's a little bird with the Dwayne headdress thing. Like I said, it's an uncommon drop in the Black Lion chest currently. So,
kind of surprised that it isn't also a mail carrier.
honestly,
Yeah,
when I was
yeah.
saying messenger, I was like, "Why are people saying this
I
is a
thought it
mini?"
was a mail carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I seen it was a mini pet, and I was like, oh, okay. It's interesting.
So also you can get as a rare or super rare drop Daydreamer's weapons, Dwayne's weapons, advanced leather rack, and advanced cloth rack. So are any of you going to be diving into the Black Lion chest to hopefully get any of these?
I got one rare item out of the 5 keys I bought this time.
Nice.
It's a self-style hair kit.
Ouch. Big ouch.
To be honest, though, the seasonal items, the 5 hunter packs, totally made it worth it. Like, those are worth it for the Black Lion chest. You get decent stuff out of those.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, the seasonal items have gotten much better. I'll have a video in a day or so on my drops and my thoughts on the whole process. I did open a bunch, thanks to Vlad and WSR for donating a good chunk of those keys. But yeah, I've gotten the 2 items. We're going to talk about, I guess, the rare drops in a second, about the advanced leather and cloth racks. Those are, I didn't get one, but those are huge, and they're worth a lot of money.
Now, are these advanced leather racks and cloth racks, are they like the standard ones in the gem store, or are they higher tiered?
Higher tiered.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Are they like level 5 or 6?
Right. Yeah, they give 5 and 6, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I could see why. That,
Especially the leather one. Well, I guess both of them really are both of them are around 2K, 1,700 gold or something like that. I'm sure they've come down a little bit in price, but they were selling for about 2K the other day. They'll be expensive for a long time. My slight disappointment. Now I'm happy that they brought these in. My continuing concern with these have been that they've been rotating some of the mining nodes in and out. And what this allows to happen is it allows trading post players to sort of manipulate that market. The iron node, for example, hasn't been in the Black Lion chest for some time, for months and months. And it's extremely hard to get. It's worth thousands of gold. And, you know, there's pros and cons to that. The pro side is that when you do get one of these things, it means you hit a jackpot, which feels really good if you spent 125 gems or you spent X number of gems and you hit that jackpot. You feel really good about that reward because it's worth so much. The con side is that because there's so few of these only released in Black Lion chests, and you're waiting for Arena to cycle these in and out of the chests in a limited spot of only 2 in the rare category, it means that people are more easily able to manipulate this niche part of the market. So, I don't know.
wow.
Oh,
Congratulations, Tavik, in chat. Apparently just opened one and got a permanent bank access.
Congrats. I have never seen a permanent access. I can't, you know, it's funny. Somebody was telling me the other day that I forget how many they opened. They opened a lot, and they finally got a permanent access. And it was like, I opened 75 to 100 every time they make this change. And I've never seen.
Wow.
I really like Mithrin's suggestion there. Just have all of the nodes in like the rare or super rare category, but rotate 2 into the rare category every time they change the chest.
Oh, that is a good idea. Actually, maybe I'll put that in my video and give Mithrin credit. I do like that idea. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have enough money to list it on the trading post.
Feels bad.
Okay.
I have enough money, Tavik, if you want to split profit. I'm just saying.
Oh my god.
Oh man, this is turned into
terrible.
like Shark Tank. Like, you want your thing on the trading post? Well, I can help you. I can. Oh yeah, look, a lot of people are in the chat willing to help you, Tavik. There you go.
Yeah.
But that is it for this week of non-spoiler stuff. So this is kind of the warning of we're going into spoiler territory. So, you know, if you are trying to actively avoid it, you know, thank you for coming out. If you guys want to do a quick outro, just where the people that are avoiding spoilers can still find you. So, Jim, take it away.
I can be found on Twitter at MalThanosMMO. You can also find me here on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our 0 to Hero PvP and probably sometimes Fractal Night. Unranked PvP is a shit show, and I'm not going to do that during the off season. So there's that. So hope to see you there.
And Age.
Find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road. I'm going to. I won't be home when they do the announcement stuff, so I'm going to do a stream, and the first half an hour will be me watching the announcement live, and then probably play some Guild Wars 2 afterwards, and I'd probably do a giveaway because it's going to be August. So yeah, feel free to swing by.
Awesome. Inks, where can they find you?
Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I've been uploading a lot on YouTube, guys. Go watch those videos, share them out. I will be doing a stream on Tuesday. I'll be there for the pre-show with Glitzy on my own channel, not with Glitzy, but I'll be on my own channel watching what she says. Obviously, I'll be watching the announcement, and then I'll be watching a good part of the Wood and Potatoes thing, depending on how long that actually is, and we'll discuss as we go along, and we'll react to it, and we'll have popcorn probably, and it'll be a good time. I've also been streaming sort of breakfast in the EU. About 3 days this week I did that. And that time varies a little bit, but check out my Twitch channel. I'm going to be trying to vary those times up a little bit, so I do some EU mornings, so I get some afternoons in there when I'm available, and we're starting that up. So it's all heading in a positive direction right now.
Cool. And you can find me at simply_dale on Twitch and Twitter. If you are popping at the very end, we are heading into spoiler territory. We'll put up we already changed the title of the stream. We're going to put the spoiler tag up. But normally we would have an after show and stuff like that. We still probably will have a little bit, depending on how dead we are inside after spoilers. But you can also follow us. The show will go up on our YouTube at just search Talking Skritt. It's usually the first one that pops up. That will go up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're watching on YouTube and you have a crazy theory that we're not going to mention, or wanted to join into the spoiler territory, you can show up live Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And this is the final warning. The spoiler tag will be going up. I am speaking slowly to give you the most possible longest warning. You're probably running through your house. You just tripped over the ottoman. I'll give you another second.
Enough talk. Let's do this. Leroy!
Okay. All right, well. All right, so spoilers. Basically, one path ends. We do actually have the end cinematic that leads up and shows the...
Are we just going to dive right into that?
I mean, do we want to? I have it ready. That's all I'm saying.
I have to say that cinematic was the most epic thing that I've seen in a while. Like with the music, everything going on and everything, and just like all the fire and probably death happening. I just had my mouth open like, oh, this is awesome. I have no idea what's going on, but this is awesome.
That was a really well animated trailer. Obviously, people are complaining that it's not as detailed as the one previously with the Pact getting destroyed over the Maguma jungle. But to be honest, this was a vision given to us by the Eye of Janthier, so I kind of am okay with it being a little less detailed. So,
which I'm confused by. I think they're linking, because there was 2 videos that were played. I think when you did season 2's, where it showed like Case vision, which was the story, and then the portion where they're flying over the pack thing and just getting jabbed by vines. I mean, that's kind of what they're showing here, is just pyramids and stuff. They say at the end, we're going to the desert, which I'm assuming means Crystal Desert. I mean,
Desert.
Yeah. I mean, it shows just basic things, pretty much like the Heart of Thorns teaser did up till then.
What I want to know is, how do you get Crystal Desert? Has our character ever been there, or has seen like?
Well, you assume that they know about it. If you go to Ebenhawk,
yeah, I was just going to say
Ebenhawk. I don't know how you're supposed to actually say it. They tell you can't go into the Crystal Desert. So like your character knows, or characters on Tyria know about the Crystal Desert.
And I mean, you hung out with Destiny's
place.
Edge, which they talked about Krakatork and their whole divide thing.
Yeah, Destiny's Edge has been to the Crystal Desert, so well, I don't think that's a secret necessarily. Like, you yourself may never have been there, but you know where it is generally.
Well, I mean, like the look and feel, I guess. I mean, like when you see Balthazar looking over a desert, I guess you can naturally assume Crystal Desert, but I guess that's just one of the tidbits that I had a problem with.
Well, and I think the other part of that too is you're asking the Eye of Janthier a question, you place your hand on it, and it sends this information into your brain. So not only do you see it, but it's probably communicating on some level, and you're like, oh, I gotta go to the Crystal Desert. I don't necessarily love that delivery line, but it
Wait, you have to stop the reactor.
That would have been much better if Balthazar was just in Livia's belly.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God, why?
Commander. You have to stop Balthazar.
To be fair, that's not canon, so don't worry, people, if you don't like that or if you don't get the reference. But, I mean, you know, I just kind of wanted to show off the cutscene, but I mean, overall, now that we can talk more freely about it, how did you guys enjoy the map, the story, the...
I originally, when I played through it, playing as a secondary character, taking the oath of the blades, it's not fun. If you are not the owner of the instance, taking the oath is not great.
Mm.
It's incredibly boring. You only get to assist minorly during the illusory betrayal of the blades. It's not great.
I was playing with my friend at that point, and I legitimately forgot that he was there until he tried to come help me with the last bit. I'm like, yeah. So I imagine it's just.
So did you guys survive to the very end? Like, how long can you survive for?
I got to like 30% until I actually had to do the mechanic.
Which part?
So where they act out the betrayal of the Shining Blade, and you have to, survive and let Shadow get away. And I made it to wave 3. I have to look at my timestamp how long that really was. It was like 3 minutes or something.
I was like, the
first
first
wave 3
time
comes, and there's so much AOE that like ended up getting hit by it, like instantly downed me. But
yeah, I was say I think the first time I didn't know that was a thing, so I was like using that revive spell or whatever, and was literally standing where everything spawned, and everything showed up and just attacked me like the first time, like so. But then I went back in knowing that thing, and I brought my minion master because I was trying gonna try the next part of what some people were recommending, and I think I lasted till like 3.5 minutes or something, which I don't know what wave that is, but.
Yeah.
Because I think the achievement is last 5 minutes. That's what my goal was, but
I was still
I don't know
trying
if I
to
got that achievement or not.
I was still trying to get used to my keyboard, so I screwed up a dodge, and I was in a bunch of AOE. But I think I lost around 3 minutes too, or I had 3 minutes left or something. I don't remember.
I need to go back through myself and play through it as the primary. I'm probably going to do it on my Elementalist because my Elementalist has the orphan bit. So my parents were ex-Shining Blade, or were Shining Blade. So I think that might give me some more dialogue.
Oh, that's actually
I seen somebody say that they were upset because two of the characters there, I guess, are part of that personal story that you're talking about, Mal'Thanis.
Mm-hmm.
That are in the instance, and she still speaks out against you. Doesn't recognize you necessarily. I don't know. I don't know how true that is. That's just what I read, I think, on a post here or there. But I do think there is some dialogue, which is nice.
I was going through with Krista, and one of the things that she says is, how the hell can we trust a non-human in the Shining Blade? Which I think is something that goes for everybody at that point.
And I think a lot of people in particular have a problem with this instance. There's a lot of people saying, like, my character shouldn't have taken the oath. Why would he take the oath? It doesn't make sense. I'm an Asura. I'm a Char. I'm a whatever. I'm not human. It doesn't make sense. You do join, and you're like, but I can't because I got to fight dragons and Balthazar, and I got all this stuff. And they're like, oh, that's fine. You just could be a free agent. So it's like, well, why even join? And I mean, I feel like ArenaNet tried to give a good reason why you would join. It's just that it doesn't always feel substantial enough to people.
Well, I think the reason is that, literally speaking, secrets of the Shining Blade will kill them under the oath.
Right.
And they can only speak it to other people under the oath without dying. So I think that's more the issue than anything. So if this was more something on the original Shining Blade when they came up with this oath, it's like, here, have a stupidly contrived, over-elaborate magical oath that will kill you if you share our secrets. We will never be betrayed again. This is the magical definition of overkill.
Isn't that
and
isn't that plot from a
uncultured
movie somewhere?
And
What
on Culture
happens in
Savage,
Vegas stays in Vegas.
I'm wondering if they're ever going to mention this again. Like, the amount they're putting on this, they're going to be like, yeah, you can never talk about it again because we're never going to talk about it again. Like they're probably only going to pull it out if need be. Like, I don't know.
I think that
ran
in
through
the
the whole
future
story
there
for me.
might be some nods to it, but not ever really directly addressing it. Like, you might run into Livia again, right? Or when you talk to Anise next time, maybe there'll be a little bit of, like, you know, secret handshake nodding stuff that goes on or something. But I don't think it'll be like, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe you will have to go back to them at some point. And I did see somebody say they were an Order of Whispers. They were, is it Order of Whispers?
Yeah,
they were, you know, they're a member of one of these orders, right? And they're like, well, why couldn't my order just give that information? Excuse me, they were part of the Priory. It's like the Priory are supposed to know everything. They're supposed to know all this stuff, and yet I need to join a secret organization from my secret order organization. It's not really a secret to get this information.
Oh man, don't get me started on Guild Wars 1 Order Whispers versus Guild Wars 2 Order Whispers. Guild Wars 2 Order Whispers are they suck.
They pale in comparison, yeah.
They were there for an archetype, but like I said, let's not get into that. That's a whole.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think it's just because of that oath they take, is the only reason. I think that's the only reason.
But that is something that Arena made up. It's not like was the oath really like this known thing before this story episode?
No, because no one could talk about it, or they'd die.
Well, I know, but you know what I mean. Like, you just made it up so that you could tell this is the way you could tell the story. Like, you didn't necessarily need to add that, I guess. And for the record, I don't really have a problem with it. You know, my guy takes the oath to get information. It doesn't really bother me that much. I'm just sort of trying to echo what people didn't like about this part of the story.
Yeah, I guess I can see it from that point, but it's just because of that oath, because it's so secret that like people take magical oaths that will kill them. I think that's the only reason why we can't go to our own orders in order to find out this information. And
I mean, overall, like, I just felt like the story was rushed. It was too much was happening for this one story. Like, not enough time progressed in between the thing. It was just like here, there, done. And I think they were just doing it so people could not ask for it anymore. Like, I know a lot of people loved the ending. I felt they didn't give those characters justice. I don't know why I'm still trying to cover up spoiler wise, but I just felt like since we didn't get to that story portion yet, but
the story overall for me was bittersweet. As I was playing it, there were a lot of moments where you find out Livia, you find out Lazarus, and it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I really enjoyed that last fight, and I enjoyed the story overall. I do agree. The reason that it's a bit bitter is because, yes, I got the story I sort of wanted with Lazarus. I sort of got the wrap-up I wanted with Lazarus, but it all happened in one episode within one moment rather than be spread across a couple of episodes. And as far as Livia goes and Karita, I think that's how you say her name, something like that, she says in the story that she's always been around and she's sort of this background character and she hides in plain sight. It would have been really cool if she would have just showed up as a soldier that didn't necessarily have any dialogue, but was just there and named somewhere in a couple of the episodes. Like, she didn't have to play a particular role, but if you just seen her in the background walking around with Anise, or I don't know, being there when they take Caudicus away or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It would have been cool just to have that little bit of a callback. Yeah. And then I had heard a lot of people say that this didn't really feel like a finale so much because this is a divergent story. It did tackle a little bit of your team, but very weakly. It did tackle a little bit of Balthazar, but kind of weakly. And this should have been like episode 5 and not episode 6. And then Flashpoint should have been pushed forward depending on how you feel about Flashpoint. But like a couple of these points in the story should have been sort of swapped, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you guys. I felt like the Lazarus, because since episode 4 was like we killed Codicus, and then we could transition into like Shining Blade killing Lazarus, and then we could transition into Balthazar, and that would lead into expansion stuff. And I feel like that would have been a better flow, because there are some elements of episode 5 and some elements of episode 5 and 6 could have been in episode 5 that would have made it a good transition for White Mantle stuff, like remnants of them, Lazarus and all that stuff. And like I think you could fit the Balthazar reveal in there a bit, and then episode 6 would focus on Balthazar and trying to track him down and stuff.
So in general, you guys feel that the plot points that were there in this arc of in this season of the Living Story were good, just the order and the duration weren't fantastic.
I feel like the flow could have been better,
Right.
basically.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, for the
it's kind of
record, I
funny.
really love the story, and it's one of my favorite episodes, if not my favorite episode of season 3.
Oh,
For me.
really?
I want to say, even as a person who didn't really play Guild Wars 1, having Karita take off the helmet, and I recognize the hair. I don't even know that much about Guild Wars 1, and I recognize Livia's hair. Just from points in time where we talked about her previously, and I was just kind of like one of those points where it was like, oh shit, okay.
I mean, kind of going back to what Inks was saying about the whole not enough time for Lazarus. Balthazar had more time being Lazarus than Lazarus did.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like he got a better entrance, he got a better like story bit, and then it's like ugh.
But he got a cutscene.
To be fair, I think Lazarus did a better job at being to be fair, I think Balthazar did a better job of being Lazarus than Lazarus did at being Lazarus.
Oh my god! Oh god! The dialogue in all of it, like the first off, going back to the Shining Blade thing, the overtop of like, oh no, I will take the oath, and like it's like oh, and it was, I'm assuming it was on purpose, or
the stilted dialogue in the escape of the shadow, I think, was on purpose.
Yeah,
I'm fairly certain that was on purpose, and I thought it was actually kind of funny.
But you're taking an oath that you're not supposed to break, and they're like, yeah, you can't take this oath, you're gonna die. And then over the top theatrics, it's like, no one's ever gonna see this. Why are you going for an Oscar? Like,
yeah. I want to hit up 2 points in chat. First is Carnifex about Guild Wars 1 lore and Guild Wars 2. I think some people have been clamoring for that, and I feel like ArenaNet's doing it, adding this type of story in terms of closure, in terms of Guild Wars 1 lore that wasn't, left in the dark. But it's not being done as well, or it's not giving it justice.
A little bit. I feel like in this episode anyway, not in all episodes, but I feel like they gave you a basic understanding of what the Eye of Janthier was. I feel like they gave you a basic understanding of who Livia was and why this was important to her. Obviously, there's not a long build-up over that, and if you're a Guild Wars 1 player who was heavily into the lore or you know the story, sure, you are going to appreciate it more. But I do think they added just enough exposition to explain to players what the Eye of Janthier was and what it was for, and who Livia was.
Wait, when did they just talk about Livia?
Yeah,
at the end.
That's the second point I kind of bring, because Crichton Herald says he has a lore video. They have a lore video about Livia, and go check it out, obviously. But I feel like if you haven't played Guild Wars 1, you don't know a whole lot about Livia. And I know there's some probably books and stuff. I haven't gone back to check, but there are probably some books in some instances that tell you about Livia. But at the end instance, when she reveals herself, you know how your character goes Livia, the Livia, and it's like there's not a lot of context about why Livia is so popular until after the fight. You know, she goes into a bit of details.
Yes.
But I feel like a sentence or two at that instance where he was like, where your character is dumbfounded a little bit would have sufficed in like giving a basic context about who she was.
Think about it from a story perspective, though, right? If you give the player context of who Livia is before the reveal of Livia, in that episode anyway, you could have done it many episodes ago or something, perhaps. But if you give context of who Livia is before the reveal of Livia, it gives away the reveal of Livia.
Oh, I'm talking about at like when she revealed herself. They could have,
right?
Because when she revealed herself, your character. Well, I don't know if it's different for other characters, but my character's like Livia, the Livia, and that's pretty much it. That's all the context you get until like afterwards. But I feel like just a sentence or two after he says that would have helped.
There's a lot of information about Livia in the Shining Blade headquarters.
Right.
In
Yeah,
in
there's
the books
a couple
and everything
pamphlets. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
and
besides
that's what
that,
I mean. Yeah.
But besides that, from that story, I think all we have is we know there's a crash ship that was named after her. And like Arlie saying in chat, she was in Sea of Sorrows. That's an outside book that's not contained in the story. They did do those Mariner plaques, which I went back and looked. No mention of Olivia in those. At least not by name.
Right, and I understand that, but you do get an explanation of who she is. It just happens after the reveal.
Yeah. I don't know. I just it might be a little thing with me personally, but I just felt like that one sentence could have made that difference for me, I guess. Maybe I'm nitpicking too much, but
and honestly, like the last like interaction between Lazarus and Livia, like he's like, you know, he's like, haha, you're so old, and I'm like, is he about to pull out like your mama jokes? Like, is Valderrama gonna come out and be like, yo mama?
To be fair, I think it was more him mocking what he perceived as her mortality, because even though she's very clearly not aged at all, that's one of those things where he's still trying to, like, I don't know, hold his Mersotness over Livia being just human.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I just felt that
when he's Vader force choking her at the end there to say you are not immortal. You know, he's basically saying I can and will kill you.
Did you guys like that bit?
I love it.
I love the whole Lazarus thing. Pulling the shining blade out of the ground and like force leaping it down his throat. Yes, I love that moment.
Okay,
to be fair, I think it was kind of ruined for me because when I picked up the sword, I was underneath of him, and it doesn't like just go to a cinematic. It tried to use the sword, so I'm standing under him going, and I was like, and I tried from the other side. Unfortunately, you had to do it from where Livia is. So like I tried it from the other side, and I'm just like, I'm like, maybe I'll go stand by Livia. Like, so for me, it just felt very anticlimactic with that part, but
yeah. I feel like they could have just
after I came down from stabbing him. It's a good thing I wasn't low in health. But I loved it. There is this creepy sort of dialogue they have in the middle where he tries to talk about her having babies and stuff or whatever. But other than his little creepy talk, I don't know. I thought it was good.
I missed that.
I wish he would have at one point they're talking about he was like
talking about how much you missed.
Time. He's like, you gave up having children and grandchildren and all this other stuff.
Oh, I vaguely remember it. I don't know. I was trying to dodge a lot of things. It was, yeah.
I have one last thing to say about that last instance. The break bar ability, the damage is way too goddamn high on that. Because like I would get a break, I would start trying to hit the break bar, and I'd take one of those rounds to the face, and I'd be nearly dead.
Oh.
So I was playing a druid, so I just healed through everything, and nothing hurt me. But I went down one time because I didn't get to her in time, but otherwise I just healed her through all the damage.
I actually have to get going because I have to help my wife with something. But in general, my overall on the episode is I dig it. I really like the map. So, gentlemen, have fun. If it gets much past 8 o'clock, please go to sleep. Promise?
We're gonna
Dale,
go till Tuesday.
I promise.
I promise nothing.
The hype train goes until the expansion announcement. Okay. Well, everybody, I'll see you all Wednesday, I hope. And
All right.
we're probably going to be doing fractals. Probably hit the new one. Just probably do the whole thing in order. But have a good night, everybody.
Take
Bye,
care.
chat.
See ya.
Bye.
Start moving around names if you guys want to continue with the store stuff. Whichever thing.
I kind of going back a little bit, but I kind of like the tempering of like the body when you're getting initiated into Shining Blade. That was at first I thought they were just trying to light me on fire, but I thought it was like a night.
That whole thing was very strange.
It was strange.
They set you on fire, then they drown me, then they stone me, but my character just stands there and doesn't move or fall down. Whatever. I don't know. That whole thing was just kind of like,
Yeah, I only realized at the end. I'm like, oh.
It seems to bother some people, but I was just like, okay, well, I just stand here and watch this, I guess. But anyway.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I guess that kind of covers the story.
There's one thing. I like the little. You didn't really see it as much, but at the very beginning, you know how you're talking with the priest of Balthazar, and pretty much any human who was
punch that guy in the face.
who like Balthazar is like all super hyped, and like they're itching to fight and like start riots and stuff. And like I felt it was like an interesting touch, and I kind of want to see that.
They were broing hard.
Yeah,
they were just going to everybody like, you want to fight? Let's do this.
There was some funny dialogue in that first instance. There's a couple who, I don't know if you guys caught this, but there's a guy and a girl who were talking about fighting, and he's like, "Oh, we have to go outside though because you can't fight in here. We'll get in trouble or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, let's go outside on what does she say? On cobblestone or something. Cobblestone really hurts," or something like that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, like they're like straight up brawlers. It's kind of
and the priest of Balthazar is bothering the other priest and priestess. Like, hey, you want to fight? You want to spar? And they're just like, buzz off. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Like I enjoyed that part because I didn't know it would be like the precursor for this whole story. It just felt like in the past stories everybody was like, oh, everybody liked Canuck's sarcasm, let's write that for every character. And I was just like, this is just too much.
And I've seen some people say that, so I don't mind the comedy and the levity from time to time. Like I said, the Balthazar priest and stuff was a good place to put that, but there were definitely some areas of the story where I felt like it was unwarranted and unneeded. Like you get into Abaddon's temple at first, and your commander says something, your character says something like, she makes a smart comment, and you make one back like, who needs eyebrows anyway, or something like that. And it was just like, there's some of these one-liners that they write that they just insert at in inappropriate times, I feel like, and it can really sort of take you out of the story and take you out of the moment, especially the seriousness of the moment, So the witty dialogue and banter and stuff is good sometimes, but it's overdone.
It was just over the top this episode, it felt like.
Yeah.
I don't remember Livia being such a person like who rags on you like 24/7, but may have to go back and see. But
it's funny because when I was playing, I was like, oh, is this the new Canuck? Because in the first instance, especially, she's being very like Canucky,
Yeah.
Canuck. Please let that be a new word. Are they Canucky enough for you?
Did any of you suspect that Karida was Livia?
I think on my stream
I
when we
did.
go into that first instance, like as soon as she was being snarky, I was like, I think this is Livia.
Yeah,
Like just
that's
how
what I
she
was
was just
thinking
like
too.
she was
So-
acting
as
like
soon
she
as
was
I-
better than you. Like
As soon as I encountered her and she started to speak and she had a particular voice, and I was like, yeah, I said, this has got to be Livia, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I thought so
So-
too. At some point.
That's why I think that's also what hit me was like it just felt very predictable, but you know I also heavily like analyzed the trailer and all that stuff, so it definitely felt like Livia was coming, and in that instance as soon as that happened I was like, yeah, this is probably her. But
I mean, overall, I really liked it. It had some good moments of levity in there. There's an annoying thing where Timey keeps calling you in the open world around Balthazar's area, I think. But other than that, the way they dealt with Bram made me wince a little bit, made me cringe a little bit, because you get a phone call from Timey, and she's like, "Oh, Bram wanted me to let you know that him and his new guild, Destiny's Edge, had Jormag surrounded, and then he turned to ice, like he went back to sleep, right? Just to confirm that, which is fine, but it leaves you with this impression, for some players perhaps, that they had a shot at killing him. I mean, maybe they didn't have a shot and the dragon was going to rip them to pieces, but the way that Bram tells the story, at least, or the way that Bram had told it to Timey, who tells it to you, is that like they had the dragon surrounded and were going in for the kill or something like that. And it bothers me a little bit that that stuff happens off screen, and it bothers me a little bit that he just forms this random group of this new guild of random people or something. And
Well, it's not necessarily random because he did crack the tooth of Jormag that's in Holbrecht, and that is the sign that the Norn should rise up and
crack the
kill Jormag.
tooth with an arrow. I mean,
But that's the Norn thing. That's the Norn. That's the sign for the Norn to actually rise up and go for Jormag. And the Norn kind of, and I think Tommy said that the Norn really wanted Bram to go for.
So here's the other thing that most players may not know. In the book Edge of Destiny, they actually, Snaf had to invent special amulets so that the Norn wouldn't get corrupted when they went to fight Jormag's lieutenant. Now I couldn't, because they would turn them into Sons of Svanir, right? Bram doesn't have that amulet, I would guess. Although I guess the commander doesn't really fall into that either. But anyway, supposedly the corruption is so strong with Jormag, turning them into frozen minions and stuff, that, I mean, could Bram just go up there and, I mean, does he have that protection? I guess they don't really talk about it, but I don't know. It's
like Timey's mech suit. It only matters for us.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about that. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. But when about that call, I kind of feel the same way about how they kind of dealt with it. More so because it's we're just staying away from them. We're not dealing with the issue at hand that Bram's being an idiot. But it's like like our character said, we don't have time to deal with him right now. Type of deal.
One thing that is kind of exciting, I will say, is I think that perhaps the next time we meet Bram, we'll run into Bram and his Destiny's Edge versus us and our Dragon's Watch. Like the two guilds. Awesome. The two guilds will sort of come face to face, perhaps, or something.
That sounds awesome.
But I don't know. Him and Rox are off screen doing stuff, and you hear about it through Timey, and it's I don't know. I guess it's better than not hearing about anything, like with Ritlock, but Casimir's off contemplating life or something. Whatever.
I still don't like how
guild members.
I mean, of course, they're gonna take the probably majority of how people felt, because they're like, my character goes, I don't have time for, like, basically him being moody or whatever. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's temper
and
tantrum.
you know, if you watch the past shows, I'm always sitting here going like, I kind of see where he's coming from. His last parent just died in front of him. Like, he's gonna be a bit moody. Like, you know,
Right. So, and for a long time, I was on Bram's side. Right. I was like, it makes sense. He's carrying the weight of his mother's legacy on his back. But the more that you sit and think about it, from a human perspective, all of Bram's reactions seem very normal or seem very explainable. But if you think about it, written from a Norn perspective, he's not really written from a Norn perspective. And the Norn perspective in Guild Wars 2 is fairly diluted anyway. It's not properly expanded upon like it was in Guild Wars 1. They've diluted that race a lot like the Char. And Bram is sort of written from, all the characters really are really sort of more written from a human perspective rather than the perspective of their race, except for maybe Ritlock, although he's a loner anyway. And I don't know. I think that, yes, it humanizes him, but player characters or players of the game don't want him humanized. They want him to act like a Norn, right? Norn forge their own legacy. They don't take over the legacy of their parents, generally speaking. And they don't throw a tantrum fit that so-and-so got so-and-so killed necessarily. Even when we had nothing to do with her death, really. Yeah. So, I don't know. He is a young Norn. He's brash. I understand him running off face-long into danger. That's very Norn-like. But this whole thing of he's got to live up to his mother's memory and he's got to carry on her legacy is not necessarily Norn-like. It's more Norn-like to forge his own legacy. And I think that he overemphasizes his mother's legacy on his shoulders too much. That's sort of my problem with that.
Mm.
Can you defend Timey? No.
read the rest, though. Come on now.
She's a prominent story, but I kind of have to say that the rest of the guild's members are just screwing up to the point we have to count on Timey.
The sigh after that. Can we magnify that after Inks read that?
Yeah, if you think about it, she's the only one that's been really helpful. The others haven't been doing too much.
She's overly helpful. My problems with Timey are my problems with Timey are a lot. Number one, she's too young to die. They're not going to put her in harm's way, so she becomes sort of this Q of the story. And on many levels, I'm okay with her being Q. She can stay in the lab, she can develop, she can call us on the telephone, but stay the hell away from me. The other thing is she's almost infallible, right? She knows the answers. She knows the name of the underwater dragon. She just forgets. Sorry, I forget. I forgot it. Sorry. And she does have some nice one-liners once in a while. I will give you that, right? But just listening to her on the telephone, Commander, I just like, it goes right down my spine. And like, she's like, the way that her voice actress delivers some of the lines, no offense to the voice actress, but they're like, she'll be like, I got the most amazing thing to tell. Like the way she delivers some of those big, bold, loud words is just like, oh my God, I want to kill myself. She's like that annoying 6-year-old niece that will follow you around and be like, did you know the human head weighs 10 pounds? Did you know that bees make honey? Like she's just, she grates on my nerves in the worst ways possible.
I like her.
And she's not 16 anymore. She's now 2 years older. She's like 18 years old now, right? Or was she 15? And then what? She's slightly older than she was. And no, I don't expect her to act like a 32-year-old, but she's overly annoying. She is the smartest Asura to ever have existed or currently exists anyway. And even when she makes a mistake, ArenaNet doesn't actually let her make a mistake, right? She almost makes a mistake in episode 5 where she says, oh my God, I haven't been sleeping and I got all this pressure on me and I'm in charge of all these Asura now. And she's like, but we can't kill dragons anymore. Like, she comes to the realization of her mistake before she actually makes a mistake. So they don't even let her fail.
But,
and as a character, some of the growth that you go through is from your failings. But Timey doesn't fail. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think it's fine if she caught that one because, you know, the game would be over. So.
But how do you guys feel about the map itself? Like, and
I can't talk about it too much because I only played it on Tuesday. I only been the map on Tuesday. So I've been to each of the reliquaries, obviously. It feels like a bigger Orient map, but it has a lot more going on in terms of the landscape and, you know, how high you can go and things like that. I have to admit the Abaddon reliquary is kind of cool. I know that'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the map grew on me at first. Like, I'm still not a fan of it mechanically in the sense of you pay for the waypoints, but then they're free, but they're not. They're awkward waypoints because you can't port to them. They're the shrines basically, so they're not actually waypoints, but you unlock them. I just felt that was just arbitrary progression. Like, why can't we just walk to them like, you know, actual waypoints? But
I wish they were. I don't mind if we actually paid for them, but I wish they were just waypoints instead of shrines. But I understand.
I don't know. I like the callback, especially on this map.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why I understand why they did it that way.
Yeah, as long as it was
really
a quirky thing, I just hope it's not the thing that they're doing going forward.
I kind of like it though, in some ways. I'll tell you why I like it. It's sort of a false sense of progression in some ways, right? It's not false sense of progression. It's sort of like it is a sense of progression, but it's like you can buy them all up right away, I think, right?
Yeah,
or at least I did.
It feels kind of arbitrary and pointless because like a lot of people that defended it were saying, I think total it costs 40 pearls, which you can get 40 pearls pretty easily. I mean,
in a day you could get 40.
Yeah.
If if you go to the Abaddon reliquary, there's after you've done the story, I think you can go down, open it once a day. You can go down and you open a chest. Well, I think twice a day. You have to pay for the second time, but once you open it the first time, you get 50 pearls, and that can pay for all the waypoints pretty much.
Well, I think that's if you're lucky. I don't think you get 50 pearls the first time.
Isn't it an achievement?
Yeah, there is an achievement.
Oh,
it's not. It's random. Like it's random, but you're not gonna get 50 every time.
No,
like
it was.
I didn't get 50.
I thought I got 50 from the achievement. Oh, maybe I
don't think I did, but
no, you can get 50 for opening the chest. That's like the big reward.
And Tavik is right. To be able to open them, you basically do all the hearts, which is going to each of the shrines. Yeah.
Which really isn't that bad. I will agree with Amolang in that some of the reliquaries seem too close together. Like, I wish they were separated a little bit more than they were, right? Like, Grenth and Dwayne are super close together. But either way, I don't know. I really like the map. More than just the map itself, which is really nice, is the ambient dialogue that happens on the map is really, really good. There's a lot going on in that map as far as story, like outside of the living story that is happening there, where they're transplanting plants to this part of Ore, where they're monitoring the Risen and sort of catching them to experiment on them, and they're trying to put them into the ground to like feed the soil, and I don't know. There's a lot of cool lore stuff that's happening there.
Most definitely.
And the map itself, I feel like, is pretty. I don't know. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I would agree that some of the reliquaries are too close together, and of course you'd have to have a slightly bigger map to sort of spread those out a little more. But yeah, I don't know. I really like the map. I did an event. I've done a couple events now, which are really nice. I did this event where you follow this hunter down this long path, and eventually you get this risen worm or this undead worm that he takes back to the shoreline, to this like crated cage thing, and he tells you that he actually has like a sanctuary for these creatures, that he lets them live in like partially natural habitat to keep them safe from other people, but also so that other people don't get hurt by them. And it's just really cool. I don't know. There's a lot of cool little things like that on the map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, like I'm not a huge fan of the map mechanically, but content-wise, like lore and all that stuff, I think it's better than the story, like the living story. Like,
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I like the map a lot. I mean, it's only been a couple of days, I guess, but I'm not tired of going there. I haven't really tried to go for a lot of the achievements. I'm just naturally playing the map right now, but eventually I'll go for all the achievements and stuff. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I haven't had much experience on it. I've been going back to the other maps to finish those for the legendary trinket stuff. So it's kind of nice because I'm going in order. So like that'll be the last map I do full exploration on for like pretty much the first time. So that'd be cool.
well, I mean, I think we've talked basically like all the stuff about it, but I mean, if you guys are interested, do you want to know how Abaddon's coming back now?
All right. I was already expecting this. Let's go.
I mean, this one's kind of easy. Like, this is pretty simple. I mean, we're going, we went there, all that stuff that was found, we go into Abaddon's, reliquary. What's in there? A summoning circle. Like, come on, people. I mean, he saw this stuff coming. He's separated himself into these aspects as well. He's out there somewhere. I mean, we have places in that map. We have, I think, where the jumping puzzle is. It's called Abaddon's arm. We have Abaddon's mouth. There could be other places in the world. Maybe Tyria is one big summoning circle for the return of Abaddon.
I do love the Abaddon lore. There's like, even if you ask the Siren about why don't you, like, why isn't there an Abaddon song? They tell you like it was very secretly guarded and you can't hear his song anymore or something like that. And they don't know about Cormyr because obviously it sunk before Cormyr became a god. So it's cool.
Yeah, that was a great touch because like they said that they don't speak the Abaddon song or something, or for like reasons, and then they were like, "Who's Cormyr?"
Yeah.
Which maybe all Guild Wars 1 players were like, "Yes, thank you, my new fan."
Yeah, I mean, the idea of Horcrux Abaddon isn't far-fetched. I mean, Lazarus did it. Why can't Abaddon?
And I mean, if you want to be a little bit crazy with it, in Nightfall, I don't think in that last dungeon thing, he, like, when you fight him, he talks. We do know in the past that some of the writers take some aspects of like Doctor Who-esque type things, like the Weeping Angels and stuff like that. I think it was called Satan's Pit. They were basically being trapped on a planet that was about to fall into a black hole. Deep down in there was the devil or whatever. They never get a clear answer, but he was putting his consciousness into a human so he could escape and that way. But while his consciousness was trapped in this person, the big body, scary body, was just an empty shell. Like it could like growl and stuff, but it never talked. So what if that Abaddon we killed was just an empty husk?
But she consumes his power.
But his consciousness, not his consciousness, though. He could still, as a thing, exist. And maybe that's what he wants to do.
I don't know.
But that big scary body could dance. Yeah, that's...
In Guild Wars 1, did they ever address? I'm unaware, but did they ever address what happened to his servants? What happened to the
Well, I thought they
Morganites?
said.
Morganites?
Yeah, I thought they said that they turned them into Morganites. But
Oh,
be
not sure.
mistaken.
Something I'd have to look into, but it would be interesting to know what happened to them.
They're still in Domain of Anguish. Yeah, that's what I thought, but
So they're trapped in the domain, I guess.
I would assume so.
Well, but I mean, the husk was empty in the sense of Abaddon wasn't in it. Like, the power was still there, trapped. But, not him. Which, clearly the gods can forfeit this stuff and still exist. I mean, Doom isn't the god of death, and he still existed afterwards. Though we supposedly rightfully killed him, but...
Yeah. It's like Zaitan and all of his minions.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I just think it's weird that there was a summoning circle involving the aspects of Lazarus just so happens to be in that place.
Yeah, it's interesting that that's the summoning place, right? That's where Balthazar ends up going before he teleports off to the Crystal Desert. I wonder if that'll get touched on again later at a later time.
Yeah.
Because it says, like, isn't there a part that says the reliquary is basically a place that the gods stored their artifacts and such, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't told us this, but I sort of assume that Balthazar went to a reliquary of Lissa and got the mirror. It's probably where he got it from,
Oh.
Being a god, he probably knows where they stashed some of their stuff. Just a guess. The story doesn't tell you that necessarily, but that's sort of my thought process on that. So then, what did he go to Abaddon's for, or what did he take from it, or what was he looking for?
Book of Secrets.
Who knows?
Balthazar is Abaddon.
Oh, no. Oh, don't. Oh, damn it.
It wouldn't surprise me if Balthazar had something to say about Abaddon and about the way, what they fought against him for. Like, maybe Balthazar will say something like, I regret being part of that war, or Abaddon was right all along, or something like that. You know what I mean? But that's as far as that rabbit hole as I'm willing to go down.
Well, I mean, hopefully we'll find out more with the expansion when we're going to the Crystal Desert, and hopefully we find out more about that on Tuesday. So, but
there's actually something I wanted to bring up.
Okay. Is it Abaddon related?
Maybe. You could probably spin it. But
I was going to cut you off if it wasn't. Go ahead.
But in the picture where they say, like, tune in and blah, 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 they have the pyramids there, but they kind of have the Krakatork crystals. Do you think Krakatork will be involved anyway in this expansion?
I would imagine. I mean, it seems like that's where he's trying to go after, this Balthazar. That's really Abaddon.
Yeah.
I think Krakatork will be in the expansion. I think it'll be I don't think we're gonna fight him. Obviously, like, we can't kill him, right? So I don't know what role he'll play, like how deep of a role he'll play. But I mean, obviously, I think he'll be there.
Okay.
I think we'll probably see him. What interaction we have, or what solution they come to, is sort of. I guess that's like the point to think about.
Oh, Mithrin actually brings up a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. That's actually a really good point.
Oh man, we're getting into a huge rabbit hole now. We'll still probably do a little bit of an after show but we'll probably cut it here for what's going to go up on YouTube. So we'll do outros and then we'll roll into all that stuff. But thank you everybody for sticking around for the long haul. But Age, where can they find you? And it still says Jim. Keep going.
Twitch and YouTube at Age Night Road. I'm gonna watch the stream live on my stream, like when I get home. Giveaway next week. There you go.
Awesome. And Inks, where can they find you?
Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at MMO Inks. Make sure you check out the Twitch. Been doing a lot more streaming there. I will be streaming Tuesday if you want to hang out in the chat and see what sort of reactions that I'm going to have or discussion that I'm going to have on it. You can get a 2-for-1 viewing experience, I guess, if you are interested in that.
Awesome. And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. And if you are popping at the very end, maybe you were trying to avoid spoilers because you saw the spoiler tag, but worked up enough courage, and now you're here at the very end. We do put this up on YouTube. It goes up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're watching this on YouTube, maybe over 5 days, how long this podcast went. You can watch us live on Saturdays. Just search it's twitch.tv/talkingskrit, and that goes live at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And as always, we will see you in the game. Good night, everybody.